Still Matter, all the various appetizers that are out there. All kinds of information in the link tree. I should say the link jungle that is in my bio, including the link to the Discord. If you'd like to join that, I would encourage you. We've built a community of over 1,500 people in our Discord. All kinds of resources. Most, if not everything, that we discuss here in the show ends up in our Discord at some point, if I get kicked in the shin enough times. So yeah, so that's on over there. Again, all kinds of resources, information about the No Kings protest coming up on October the 18th, connecting through Indivisible. You'll find information in there. Again, in our Discord, there's a mutual aid channel. We are in the process of trying to build a better man. We talked about this yesterday, about how your son's boy dads really need you. Today, we're going to talk about what's required to be a traitor to the patriarchy, because I am a traitor to the patriarchy. By the way, merch available in the merch store. Also, if you want to go to the Facts merch store, you can find it at factsstillmatter.site. So all that stuff. So again, thank you for being here. We should, before we get into this topic today, just need to update a few things on the news. And it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if you've been following along with the whole Bad Bunny thing, but it's really got Meg extremely triggered. And there's a talking head. Their name is Crystal Ball. She went on with Tommy Lahren. I think it's pronounced Lahren or Lauren. And I'm not sure if you heard this exchange, but it tells us a lot because, it tells us a lot. Let me stop this. It's quite funny. We laugh so we don't cry, but it's quite funny if you think about it. So this is, here's an interesting exchange. Once it was known that Bad Bunny would in fact be the Super Bowl halftime performer coming up in February. Here you go.
Think Bad Bunny's a good choice for the Super Bowl.
Seems like a great American artist, so sure.
He's not an American artist.
He's Puerto Rican. That's part of America, dear.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It's the deer part that really gets me. He's Puerto Rican. It's part of America, dear. He's not American. Yeah, he is. And then Bad Bunny does his entire monologue at SNL in Spanish. And then he closes it by saying, if you didn't understand what I said, you've got 4 months to figure it out. So again, here's the sound from this little blurb.
Bad Bunny's a good choice for the Super Bowl.
Seems like a great American artist, so sure.
He's not an American artist.
He's Puerto Rican. That's part of America, dear.
It's great. Her name is Crystal Ball, Krystal. I've seen her before, and I don't remember where I saw her from, but she's great, and she's talking to Tommy Lahren. Thank you, Swish Raiders. Thank you, guys. Hearts in the chat for Swish Raiders everywhere. So yeah, so there's that. Don't forget, our president, the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list predator, also said he had a conversation with the Puerto Rican president at one point. The Puerto Rican president, sir, that would be you. You would be the Puerto Rican president. Yeah. So just to I want to just sort of close the loop a little bit on yesterday, and then we'll get into to covering the news. Got some things to talk about inflation numbers, job numbers, also a decision by the Supreme Court on whether or not, okay, there's our daily restriction. If you guys wouldn't mind, please, tapping like crazy. Tapping, gifting, sharing, all the usual stuff that helps us get out to the FYP again. What was I talking about? Oh, yesterday. So many great conversations yesterday as it was a call to boy dads. We went through the whole red pilling exercise, and interestingly enough, we were discussing red pilling, and then we had a few guests who had obviously been red pilled. We literally went through the exercise. If you want to watch the replay, you can watch the replay on YouTube. And by the way, if you've not yet subscribed to YouTube, and just an update, through your kindness and generosity, the equipment necessary for me to do this sort of transition to YouTube has been ordered. And I should be here. I think I got a notification. It's supposed to be here early next week, if not sooner. So I'll keep you posted on that. So again, thank you all very, very much. But the moments that were just that kind of stood out to me was not only those people who are obviously red pilled, but some dads just really, maybe coming to a realization that they feel like they can do better, or just a revelation, just their own awareness and their ability to talk about it is kind of the point, right? So as we get into this topic today, there's some things that I didn't even get to yesterday because the conversations were so great. But as we get into this today, we'll talk a little bit more about what's required to be a traitor to the patriarchy and what our country would look like as a matriarchy. I kind of did a little bit experiment. Like, I don't use ChatGPT a lot, but I kind of use this as an experiment to say, what would the United States, for example, look like if it were a matriarchy as opposed to what it is now? And you will be blown away by the responses it gave us. Also, over the course of the day today, their poll request yesterday was purple nail polish. So during the show today, that will happen as well, being a traitor to the patriarchy. But let's start with a few things. So, in case you didn't know, the Supreme Court made a decision to not hear Ghislaine Maxwell's case. Now, obviously, there was a reaction by the president. Obey the law, stop attacking ICE. Okay. Maybe I should obey the law, stop rounding up children with zip ties. Anyway, so the news was shared yesterday with the president, although he tried to claim that it was a bit of a surprise. What? I had no idea. So Caitlin Collins asks him in the Oval Office about said decision, and this is his response.
The Supreme Court is back in session. They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance at getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're open to?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
You didn't know she was asking for it. As a reminder, you sent your deputy attorney general to talk to her. You didn't know. You hadn't heard her name in such a long time. Came out pretty good. Good purple. Good choice. Be a traitor to the patriarchy. We'll do this hand in a second because I can't do anything with my left hand. Well, almost nothing. Hey now. Sorry. So let's go back in time a bit, shall we? There was this infamous interview that the president did with Jonathan Swan from Axios. And he was asked a question about said Ms. Maxwell.
President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is." Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking.
Again, this was prior to her conviction.
Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know
her
that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well.
Really?
Good luck. Let them prove
Good luck?
somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
she's a child sex alleged child sex
a
trafficker.
big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide?
Okay, so just think about this for a second, right? I want people to think about this for a second. You are asked a question. You are surrounded by this controversy, right? You cannot run from it. The Epstein files controversy. You can't run from it. Every single day you try. You've got Mike Johnson in the House. There's rumors apparently that he's trying to find 4 Democrats to change their vote on the discharge petition. We will keep an eye on that. I can't find any reporting on it anywhere, but I heard a rumor about that. I highly doubt that's true, but Mike Johnson is so desperate to protect you and other people involved that he's keeping the House on recess so that a duly elected representative-elect Grijalva from Arizona can't be sworn in, because when she's sworn in, she is the 218th vote. They're so desperate. He is so desperate. He's swirling in controversy. And you're asked this question.
The Supreme Court is back in session. Yeah. They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're open to?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long.
What?
I can say this, that...
I'm sorry, you haven't heard the name in so long? Your deputy AG just a few weeks ago, went and talked to her, and you haven't heard the name in so long? Okay.
I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it.
So if you're asked that question, because he's really fucking stupid, if you were asked that question, swirling with all this controversy swirling around you, the answer should be absolutely not. Will I pardon her? Absolutely not. Ultimately, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it anyway. But you cannot go on the record saying, I'm not sure if I do. I don't know anything about it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. What? Are you fucking kidding me? That is the answer to arguably the biggest scandal in United States political history. And your answer when asked is, would you pardon her? I haven't heard of her in years. Haven't heard that name in forever. And I don't know if I will. I don't know if I won't. What? I believe there's even a Truth Social post. Let me just reset the gifting goal. I believe there's even a Truth Social post with him mentioning her name. I can't confirm that. I thought I saw it at one point. We'll do donuts. Ooh, donuts. Thank you. What? So I just want to, for the purposes of this conversation, since we are talking about being a traitor to the patriarchy, a system built by people who look like me, to benefit people to look like me, and by the way, to protect people who look like me, let's remind everyone what Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of, okay? They decided to not hear her case. The Supreme Court, that is. Her legal team contended that a 2007 non-prosecution agreement made with Easting should have shielded her as a co-conspirator, basically acknowledging that she did these things, because if you're a co-conspirator, you would get protection under the guise of this non-prosecution agreement. So that would acknowledge the fact that you are a co-conspirator. So they're not very smart. Just as a reminder, these are what she was convicted of, that the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list predator is pondering whether or not she should be pardoned. Conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal schmex acts. Helping recruit minors and persuade them to travel for purposes. Also, conspiracy to transport minors to engage in illegal schmex acts. Planning and facilitating the movement of minors across state lines for sexual activity. This is all from the Department of Justice court records. Another conviction, transportation of a minor with the intent to engage in illegal acts. Actually transporting a minor for such purpose, and then trafficking of a minor, 18 U.S. Code 1591, engaging in trafficking, selling, or coercing minors into acts, and then conspiracy. So, you're asked the question about the biggest controversy ever, and your answer is, I'm not sure if I'm going to pardon her or not. Could you tell us any more about how guilty you are? So I just want to go through, again, the specifics and how they prove these cases. Because we believe women, I believe women, and we need to make sure that their stories are being shared. So conspiracy to entice minors to engage in illegal schmex acts. That's 18 U.S. Code 2422B. That Maxwell agreed with E to persuade and or entice minors to travel for activity. Trigger warnings. How they proved it. Victim testimony. Aliases Jane, Kate, and Carolyn described how Maxwell approached them under the guise of mentorship or employment, only to introduce sexual contact with E. The corroboration? Flight log showed interstate travel to New York, New Mexico, and Florida. Household records and contact books included victims' names, survivors' names, and phone numbers. Testimony from his pilot, Larry Visosky, confirmed that the girl's presence on the flights with Maxwell. Pattern. Maxwell acted as a groomer, desensitizing minors to sexual behavior and normalizing massages that turned sexual. Jury conclusion, she knowingly conspired with Epstein to lure minors into abuse. Don't forget, Howard Nutlick, who everybody's pissed off about, who everybody's pissed off at, said...
now the debt is...
Hold on a second. Just said this recently. Do I still have that? I think I do. Hold on. Maybe I don't have that anymore. Yeah, here we go. So think about what I just read to you, okay? Maxwell acted as a groomer, desensitizing minors Maxwell acted as a groomer, desensitizing minors to sexual behavior and normalizing massages that turned sexual. Okay, this is Howard Nutlick.
Breaking with the FBI and Department of Justice, one of President Trump's cabinet secretaries claiming that high-profile associates of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein not only knew of his behavior, but some even participated.
Did they see it and ignore it, or no? They participated. Right. That's what his MO was. Get a massage, and what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Epstein's former neighbor, recounting his alleged experience with the deceased billionaire to the New York Post, saying he believes Epstein may have traded alleged blackmail videos for a lesser prison sentence during his first criminal case in 2008.
I assume way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence.
Lutnick describing Epstein as gross.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage.
His allegations in stark contrast to what FBI Director Kash Patel testified to last month.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information.
Wow.
None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday.
Wow.
That he trafficked to other individuals.
This as Republican leaders on Capitol Hill grapple with a push to have all the Department of Justice's Epstein files released. President Trump, who was friends with Epstein in the 1990s but later had a falling out, has called the effort to release the files a hoax created by his political rivals.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats and some stupid Republicans.
Now that push to force a vote in the House...
Yeah, so there's that. And again, one of the convictions, Maxwell acted, according to the jury, Maxwell acted as a groomer, desensitizing minors to sexual behavior and normalizing massages that turned sexual. This woman, convicted of her crimes, lied numerous times about it, lied to Todd Blanche during that interview. We can prove that. Lied numerous times. And our president, who is stuck in the middle of this controversy, is unsure whether or not he wants to pardon her? Oh, okay. Another indictment based on another conviction based on legal basis, 18 U.S. Code 24223, 2423 A and B. Proof presented: conspiracy to transport minors for sexual activity. Travel documentation, records of airline tickets and hotel stays arranged by Maxwell's assistants, receipts showing reimbursements for trips involving minors. Witness corroboration. Victims testify that Maxwell coordinated the travel schedules and handled logistics, ensuring they were available for Epstein's use whenever he wanted. Witnesses recalled Maxwell personally instructing them on how to behave around Epstein. For example, rub his feet, be relaxed, keep secrets, don't tell anyone. Jury conclusion: she conspired to facilitate and arrange travel across state lines for sexual exploitation. Transportation of a minor with the intent to engage in illegal sexual activity. Legal basis, 18 U.S. Code 2423A. Proof presented. Specific victim identified. Going by the name of Jane for the purposes of this. She testified that she was 14 years old when she met E. and Maxwell. Flight records placed her and Maxwell together on multiple trips. She described sexual encounters in New Mexico, Florida, and New York. Intent evidence. Emails and testimony showed Maxwell arranged these trips knowing E's intent and sometimes participated herself in the abuse. The jury conclusion, Maxwell intentionally facilitated interstate travel for a minor to be sexually abused. Sex trafficking of a minor. Legal basis, 18 U.S. Code 1591A. Proof presented. Payment and quid pro quo. Victims said that they were paid after massages and sometimes encouraged to recruit others, constituting a commercial schmex act under the statute. The recruitment records, Epstein's Palm Beach house manager, Juan Alessi, testified that Maxwell kept hundreds of $100 bills on hand to pay girls for their recruitment. Maxwell managed Epstein's schedule using coded language like massage and appointments. Surveillance testimony showed she directed staff to maintain secrecy and silence. Psychological manipulation. Prosecutors called expert witnesses to explain how grooming erodes consent, proving coercion under the trafficking statute. The jury's conclusion, Maxwell knowingly participated in a trafficking scheme involving minors. Also, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. Legal basis, 18 U.S. Code 1549C. Prosecutors didn't need to prove a specific act, only that Maxwell entered an arrangement with Epstein to traffic minors. They used a course of conduct theory. Recruitment, grooming, payments, and travel were interconnected acts. Email and testimony showed coordination between the two over years. And then witnesses testified that Maxwell enforced Epstein's preferences and selected the girls herself, fitting his descriptions and criteria. Jury conclusion, she was an active conspirator, not a bystander. That's the person that we're talking about here. And our president was just asked, even though we know he's in the birthday book, we know he's on the list, we know he's on flight logs, we know they were friends, we know that he referred to Jeffrey Epstein as a great guy, we know that Epstein referred to him as his closest friend. He's on record with Jonathan Swan saying, I wish her well. Those are the court documents. Yes, those are the court documents. That is literally from the court case. All these things, and you are asked whether or not you're going to pardon her. The first thing you say is, I haven't heard that name in so long. The second thing you say is, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I won't. What? What? People want to deny this? And I love the argument that the right tries to use now, but what about Biden? Well, we know the story there. You don't want to know. She wasn't convicted until the 22nd of June. There were still appeals that were happening. Okay? This is not technically an appeal because the Supreme Court had to choose whether or not they wanted to take the case or not. But information that we have, a lot of the information that we have, was released under the Biden administration already. So you can miss us with that bullshit. It's another freaking excuse. Let me do the meerkat. I like the meerkat. Again, friends, if you want to participate or support the channel, best way to do that is through crowdfunding. And if you want me to read something, I'd be happy to. So I'm trying to square this. Like, who are the people that are in his head to try to message him? So listen, sir, you're going to likely be asked today. Right. This is what media coaching does. This is what the communications team is supposed to do. Like if I was the Toby Ziegler in the White House, that would be the conversation I would have. I'd be like, sir, you're likely going to get a question about the Supreme Court today in Ghislaine Maxwell. They chose to not hear her case, which means her conviction stands. So if you're asked a question about pardon, your answer is absolutely not. I would never consider pardoning her. Well, what if I want to? You might want to. I understand that, but you don't want to say that in front of the press. Okay. Okay, you don't want to you don't want to give them any ammunition for you. Like, for example, some silver-haired, patriarchy sweatshirt wearing guy on TikTok might talk about it. So don't let them do that. So if you're asked again, you're going to say, absolutely not. I would never consider pardoning her. Okay, got it. But what if I want to? Okay, are we good? Yeah, I'm good. So, Mr. President, would you consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, I'm not really sure. I don't know who she is. I haven't heard that name in a very long time, but I don't know if I will. I don't know if I won't. And then the communications director's in the corner like, holy fuck. How do we spin this? It's fucking crazy to me. It's crazy. So part of the decision that the Supreme Court made, she claimed this is what the entire thing is based on this non-prosecution agreement. And we've discussed that before because of Alex Acosta, who was the prosecutor at the time, went through these machinations of getting him a sweetheart deal. It's called the non-prosecution agreement. Alex Acosta later became Trump's labor secretary. We know all that kind of stuff. She claimed that the Florida non-prosecution agreement, in which Easteen and potential co-conspirators were immunized, and that also should protect her. So if you want protection, then that would mean that you are part of the problem too. So that's a weird flex. The court said the agreement was limited to the Southern District of Florida, not the Southern District of New York, where Maxwell was charged. Even if it mentioned co-conspirators, she was not a signatory and not named. The Second Circuit ruled that due process does not extend non-prosecution benefits to unnamed third parties. It's been rejected at every level, including the Supreme Court. So the only way she gets out of jail before her 20-year sentence is up, because I think she's only in like her second or third year of her sentence, is if she gets pardoned. That's it. She is in we can't even call it a minimum security prison. It's like a work camp. Okay? She got moved from a minimum security prison because apparently, again, learning about this process, someone who's convicted of the crimes, Schmeck's crimes that she's an offender, not supposed to be moved. So everybody trying to pass the buck. Everybody's trying to pass the buck. Kash Patel saying of the Bureau of Prisons saying, wasn't us. So she's in a very, very, very minimal security prison with not a lot of protection for the guests. You see where I'm going with that? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But anyway. There was accusations of jury misconduct and all kinds of shit. But again, you're asked the question, will you pardon her? The easiest fucking answer is to say absolutely not. Whether you're going to do it or not, the answer should be absolutely not. And he couldn't bring himself to fucking do it. That is wild. So he's either ignoring his handlers or just doesn't give a fuck. I know survivors are planning on being back at Capitol Hill tomorrow. And I want to remind people again that the government is shut down because of Republicans, because of MAGA Republicans wanting to gut American healthcare, United States citizens healthcare, and people with legal status, and fire federal employees. At the same time, refusing to swear in a duly elected representative, which then would be the 218th vote to force a discharge petition to a full floor vote. That's what we're talking about here. So people who look like me, building a system to benefit people who look like me, and now protecting people who look like me and others as a reason why we need to burn the fucking shit down. Shut down to prevent the e-files discharge vote 100%. I don't entirely agree, Tootle. I think it's more about Project 2025 to gut the federal workforce. I think they're related. People need to think about, people need to understand that for a second. Now, what I'm sick and tired of is MAGA Mike talking about, well, do I have the sound for that? MAGA Mike trying to claim that it's because of that it's a clean CR. It's absolutely not it's not a clean CR. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Here you go.
Do you take any responsibility for what's happening, and what is the justification?
Okay, first of all, the Congress's primary job is to make sure that government functions. Okay? That is their job. To make sure the government is open, to make sure the government functions, and number 2 in line to the presidency is the Speaker of the House. His job is to make sure the government is open. So when asked if you take any responsibility, your fucking answer better be, yes, I do, because it's my job. Let's see what he says.
Take any responsibility for what's happening, and what is the justification for not holding votes in your chamber this week and potentially yours this weekend when there are some bipartisan conversations happening in the Senate? Why not just stay here and work this out?
I'll give you my quick answer. I'll yield to the leader, but my quick answer is very simple. The House did its job. The House sent a bipartisan, very simple, very conventional 24-page continuous resolution to keep the lights on, and we sent it over, we passed it, and it's been rejected by the Senate. So the House will come back into session and do its work as soon as Chuck Schumer allows us to reopen the government. That's plain and simple.
Wrong.
Right. Well, and as I mentioned, all the things we aren't doing.
This is John Thune.
So we're in a shutdown posture here because of Senate Democrats.
No.
There is united support, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, a few Senate Democrats, the President of the United States in support of keeping or opening the government back up. And right now it's being blocked by the Senate Democrats. And all it takes, as you point out, is a handful more. We get 4 or 5 more votes and we can actually pass this thing. And there are discussions going on with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle. But at some point they have to take yes for an answer. I mean, the things that people want, and I don't disagree with this at all, is a normal appropriations process, putting bills on the floor, getting conference passed bills on the floor of the House and Senate so we can actually fund the government the old-fashioned way.
So 2 things. First of all, they keep talking about it as if it's a clean CR. It is not a clean CR. Mike Johnson wants to claim it's the same CR, continuous resolution, that Dems voted on back in March. No, it's not. And the reason that we know it's not is because the big, beautiful piece of shit Bill Act passed between the last CR and now. And what Democrats are asking is like, dude, you're gutting American healthcare. You're lying to the American public, trying to convince them that the Democrats want to give $1.5 trillion to illegals. It's a flat out fucking lie, and they know it, which is why they are trying to go on as many news channels as possible to try to reinforce their lie to their ignorant base. It is against the law. Federal dollars cannot be used for these programs. Okay? So it's not a clean CR. The game is entirely changed. That's what the Democrats are asking. They're asking, put the money back in that you gutted from Medicaid, Medicare, and extend the Obamacare subsidies. The Obamacare marketplace, by the way, opens, I think it's November 1st. So people have to make financial decisions going into next year because the subsidies expire at the end of the year. So you got like 5 weeks to make your decisions. That's it. Then it's closed. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. From estimates, it's going to be $700 a month more at a minimum. At a minimum, likely more than that. I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's millions of Americans. Millions. So Mark Kelly is out there doing the rounds. See if I can find this sound. He's out there doing the rounds. And the weird part about what Mark Kelly did and how much it's triggered the president, he went on Fox and got, this is the sound. And this is what upset the president so much. By the way, thank you. Be a traitor to the patriarchy. Like I said, I can't do anything with my left hand. Not everything, but it's okay. Anyway, I'm good. So he went on, Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, went on Fox News, going in and calling out the bullshit. And Peter Doocy is the talking head hosting it. And then I'm going to read to you the president's response after this. Okay.
This agreement seems to be that Republicans do not think that illegal immigrants should have access to taxpayer-funded health insurance.
And they don't.
So the Democratic position, your official position here, is that illegal immigrants should not have any access to taxpayer-funded health insurance. Does that include federal and state?
Well, the federal law is that undocumented individuals do not have access to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, even the Affordable Care Act.
ACA.
That's the law.
Yep.
So this is a red herring from my Republican colleagues. They don't want to, help folks out because they needed that money. And this should be pretty simple for people to understand. When they gave that extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which helped out the richest Americans, it was partially paid for by taking away Medicaid and taking away these ACA tax credits for people who just can't afford health care.
What cards do the Democrats have right now?
Well, I don't want to, equate this to like a game.
Exactly.
This is not a game.
Exactly.
This is very serious.
Correct.
We've got folks that aren't able to go to work right now.
Correct.
But on November 1st, individuals are going to get these letters if they haven't received them already.
Correct.
Some have. There are folks in Alaska who have received letters that their premiums are going to go up from $600 a month to $4,000 a month.
Good luck.
That's unaffordable. And in my state, in Arizona, 109,000 people are likely to lose their health care, meaning that they are one accident or one illness away from bankruptcy.
The heart of the disagreement.
So again, I just want people to understand this, right? The lies that Mike Johnson and Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are telling the American people is that Democrats want $1.5 trillion for health insurance for illegals. Their words, not mine. It is simply not true. The argument that they want to talk about is, well, they reimburse the states. No, same rules apply. You can't reimburse the state for programs that are not authorized under the law, including Medicaid, Medicare. So they're fucking lying to you. They are lying to you. Whether or not the government reopens or not, those subsidies end. The ACA subsidies. They end at the end of the year. Okay? So that has to be negotiated. So for Mike Johnson to say, well, we've got nothing to negotiate. Yeah, you do. You do. You've got a lot to negotiate. A ton to negotiate. Millions of Americans' health insurance premiums will skyrocket. Not just those that are on the ACA. It's everyone. Because people are not going to be able to afford to stay in the marketplace. I am facing that decision. I'm trying to figure it out. It's causing me significant stress. Don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I have to insure my kids. I have to. Got to figure it out. I will. But I'm like millions of other Americans. Millions of Americans now, or tens of thousands of Americans are out of work because of the government shutdown. So the answer is negotiate. The answer is figure it the fuck out. And don't forget, our president has said the buck stops with him every single time. The government shutdown, that's on the president. Excuse me, that's on the president. So that interview sparked the president to respond. Why is Fox News, hold on. Why is Fox News and Peter Doocy putting on Democrat Senator Mark Kelly to talk about totally unabated or challenged healthcare? The fake spin, all caps, is so bad for Republicans that it is hard to believe that we win. It will be very unfair in the future when they don't have Trump to fight for them. Therefore, we should fix it now. I'm watching this interview. It just doesn't end. Fox should either get on board or get off board. Whoa. Now, but at this point, it just doesn't make any difference to me. They suck up the ratings because of us and then spin them in Democrats' direction. They refuse to put up polls that correctly show me at 65%. They put up the accurate polls. He just doesn't like the numbers, right? That show me at 65% in popularity, a Republican record. But if I have a fake bad poll, many of which are done by Fox, one of the worst pollsters out there is the Fox News poll, they put them up immediately and with gusto. Who the fuck uses gusto? Republicans are so tired of this fight with Fox, always trying to be so politically correct. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So I'm trying to square this, right? I'm trying to be like, okay, so how does that work? How does that work? You're uncomfortable with Fox News platforming the opposition, and the opposition is calling out the question that Fox News asked him about healthcare, the fact that you're being lied to and you don't like it and you're angry with Fox. Okay, well, I'm sorry. So if you can't get reporting that you like from Fox, what are you left with? You know, White House News Channel? That's kind of where we're going, because there was this statement that he made just the other day. And again, those of us who are paying attention, you have to understand how dangerous this is. And this should apply to anybody. You hardcore freedom-fighting MAGA conservatives who talk about defending the Constitution. This should make you really angry. This is something the president put out a couple days ago. I knew Al Sharpton for many years, not that it matters, but he was a major Trump fan. He'd ask me to go to his fake rallies all the time because I brought big crowds, and he couldn't get anybody to come without me. Then he did the Tawana Brawley hoax, one of the worst low-level scams in history, and that set him back big time. Then he got to know Brian Roberts, chairman of fake NBC News, who gave him what would become one of the lowest rated shows in TV history. Roberts is afraid to take him off because it wouldn't be politically correct. This is just one of the many reasons that the FCC should look into the license of NBC, which shows almost exclusively positive Democrat content. Likewise, ABC, fake news, about the same thing. 97% Republican, negative to Republicans. I mean, like we've said in this space many times before, people who don't think that Charlie Kirk and or Donald Trump are racist are probably racist. People who don't think that what he's saying there are direct violations of the Constitution don't give a fuck about the Constitution. So, Medicaid reimbursement process makes Medicaid the largest source of federal funding for states. Yes, Jim, but Medicaid reimbursements cannot go to people unless you are either legal status and or a citizen. So I'm not sure if you understand that piece. But again, people have to understand that, right? People have to understand what we're talking about here. We see the violations of human rights and civil rights all the time. We see ICE officers using phone calls from an alleged property owner that Tren de Agua was in an apartment building in Chicago, and that justified zip tying kids. And we've got peaceful protesters with frog suits being pepper sprayed in Portland. And that's considered an insurrection, and January 6th isn't? What? We can't afford healthcare. We've got to cut funding and costs for healthcare, but yet the Department of Defense gets a raise. We bail out Argentina's economy to the tune of $20 billion and then some, only to have Argentina fuck over soybean farmers. So now the promise of the president is say we're going to use the tariff money to help our farmers out. You mean basically give them their own fucking money back? What? Okay. And then we get this statement. This is a new one. By the way, if you ever spend any time on True Social, it's just one big ad for one big grift. Where is it? Let's see. Democrats shut down the government. No, Democrats didn't shut down the government. Republicans did. Let's not forget that. Say it with me. It's the Republican government shutdown. Period. Full stop. There is no other argument to be made. They have the House, they have the White House, they have the Senate. If they wanted it opened, they could open it. Tomorrow, they can use a nuclear option, they could pass their fucking bill, and they could do it. All right. Remember how we talk about when he uses all caps? He does it intentionally. So you can see all caps in that post. Lots of them. He does it intentionally because he wants people to think that what he is telling you is the truth. From True Social. Just out. Good news for the holiday season. Early prices are down. On what? Are you discounting your gold sneakers? What? Just me? I just sent you an invite. Can you please come up and talk to me real quick? I'd just be curious. Good news for the holiday season. Early prices are down, while tariffs are making our country an economic power again. Also, virtually no inflation as stock markets continually hit record highs. Best of all worlds for the USA. Inflation, the current U.S. inflation rate is 2.9%. It is actually the same as it was at the end of the Biden presidency, 2.9%. But it's gone up since the start of the Trump presidency. At the end of February, it was 2.8%. Then it went to 2.4% in March, 2.3% in April. But since then, it's been on a steady incline. 2.4 in May, 2.7 in June, 2.7 in July, 2.9 in August. And we'll get the September inflation rate numbers next week. So what? What? So no. We are not booming. We are losing jobs. We are losing manufacturing jobs. Government employees are being fired. For the first time in our nation's history during a government shutdown, have people been terminated. Never happened before. And y'all think it's like no big deal. Got to get rid of the waste of the fraud and abuse. Okay, that's fine. Nope, nothing to see here. Speaking of the Affordable Care Act, because don't forget, the obsession that Mr. Trump has with the ACA is because it's Obama's. He's been trying so hard to do something, although he's never really tried. He's talked a good game. So this is a little montage of his statements regarding healthcare. So the first sound you'll hear will be from today, and then I'll go back in time for you.
Obamacare is not a good thing. It's been bad. And I'd like to make it better. We're going to have a health care plan
2017
that's going to be second to none. It's going to be great. We're going to come up with a health care plan. We're not going to vote on it until after the election. We're signing a health care plan
2020
within 2 weeks.
Okay.
A full and complete health care plan.
Okay.
As I said, Obamacare is not a good thing. It's been bad. And I'd like to make it.
It's not a good thing. It's been bad. Okay. Well, I was curious about this, so I went to see if I could find a poll, and on public opinion on the ACA. So there's a whole bunch of groups that have reported on this. When it was first launched, it was clunky. The website kept crashing. There was all kinds of stories, and people were like, "This is awful." But sentiment has changed, right? Sentiment has changed significantly. In a May 2024 health tracking poll, about 62% of U.S. adults said they had a favorable opinion of the ACA. And by the way, some of the largest communities that are on the ACA live in red states. In fact, Mike Johnson, his district, has some of the highest participation rates for Medicaid, Medicare, and the ACA. 62% of Americans see the ACA as favorable. Partisan split, though, of course. Gallup found that 54% total approval, 94% of Democrats approve, and 19% of Republicans approve. Now let's think about that for a second. Think about that. That is just messaging. That is just messaging. Now we can, yeah, of course you're going to say that for real. Of course you are. ACA is trash. Are you on the ACA? And how would you know? Are you on it? If you're not on it, how would you know? If you are on it, then why would you think it's trash? Okay. Oh my God, these people are dumb. So think about it for a second. Just think about it, right? We've got 62% of Americans, depending on the poll, the average, sort of the aggregation of all the polls is like 58%. So a good majority of Americans see it as a favorable thing. Not perfect, of course not. Of course not. Increased premiums since ACA? What's going to happen at the end of December? Do you even know? Exactly. So, long story short, MAGA Republicans in Congress and the Senate are lying. They have the nuclear option in the Senate. They could, a point of order could be introduced. They could vote along a simple majority. They wouldn't need the filibuster. They could literally pass the CR tomorrow and open the government. They're lying to you. They are lying to you. And people's lives will be impacted. What people don't understand is in the marketplace in particular, the reason our costs are so high for the most part is because we have a lot of uninsured people. So we all share that burden. When people are now going to be faced with this decision regarding the ACA premiums, right, and Medicaid cuts, many people will leave the marketplace because they simply can't afford the premiums anymore. And most of those people will likely be on the healthier side, which means more people who need more services will remain in the system, which drives everybody's cost through the fucking roof. Everyone. The scenario that Mark Kelly talked about in Alaska, premiums going up, thousands of dollars a month. I'm going to be lucky if it's $750. It's likely going to be over $1,000, approaching my mortgage. Okay? And that is by design. MAGA Republicans, the MAGA Republican government shutdown is intended to harm Americans. Period. Full stop. They are intentionally harming Americans by cutting their health care benefits. They are intentionally harming Americans by kicking tens of millions of Americans off of their health care. They are intentionally harming Americans by cutting SNAP benefits. They are intentionally harming Americans because they think it's a bridge too far to feed kids. So, there's that. Good morning. You're on mute. Strupp, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
I can. What's on your mind?
I was just going to say this. You need 60 votes in the Senate to pass the CR.
No,
and
you
they
don't.
don't have it. So you
don't
guys are
need
lying.
60. You don't need 60. Strupp, come back. You don't need 60. Let me tell you why. Come back. Strupp, come back. Strupp, come back. Can't talk to you when you're off the app, my guy. Okay. Again, you do not need it. You have what's referred to as the nuclear option. In fact, just a few weeks ago, John Thune, who's the Senate Majority Leader, used it. Used the nuclear option. Now, it creates precedent for sure. The issue is if the MAGA Republicans feel so strong about their policies, then they should use the nuclear option and just have it be a simple majority. So Strupp is wrong. You can look it up. You can look it up. You can find this out for yourself. I would encourage all of you, research the nuclear option. Find out what it is. It's typically been used for recess appointments and ambassadorships and things like that. Can it be used for legislation? Absolutely it can. Absolutely it can. They just don't want to do it because they want to find somebody to blame. And it's blowing up in their face. So you're wrong, Strupp. They don't need 60 votes. Again, if their policies were so popular, they could just do it themselves. So the question is, why won't they? I know, because people hate them. Good morning.
Good morning, friend. How are you? One of my favorite people who also fight the patriarchy.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I was coming up to share because I know we probably have some Tennesseans in the chat. So today in District 7 is primaries because there's a special election going on December 2nd. And I just wanted to remind people, if you are in District 7 in Tennessee, go out and vote because that is important. Our democracy is in your hands, at least for Tennessee. I'd love to see maybe a independent nor maybe Democrat to make it into Tennessee. I might be more optimistic than most, but I would love to see that happen.
I think that would be awesome. And now, so the polls, what time do the polls open? Do you know? I would imagine they're probably
let me
open
look at that real quick.
Okay. Mary, thank you for your $2 on the Green app. Mary started the $2 train. So everybody jump on board. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you very much. All my various pay apps are at Factsstillmatter. If you want to support the channel, we are crowdfunded. Go ahead. What do you got?
7 to 7. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The polls
Okay,
are
they're
open.
open then.
Yep, they are
There you
open
go.
right now.
Well, report back if over the course of the day if you find something that we need to talk about. Okay.
I will definitely send it in the mod chat. I love you, Steve, and everyone else here. Keep booping the screen, guys.
Appreciate you, Olive. See you later.
See you later.
So there you go. So again, Strupp, you're just wrong. And I think what's really important for people to understand, like we know we need civics lessons in our country, but all you got to do is read. You can find this out on your own. You're just told that they need a filibuster. You know, it's normally true to pass legislation, but they use it all the time. In fact, John Thune literally just used it like 3 weeks ago to get ambassadorships and some sub-cabinet positions approved. Okay? So they're lying to you. All right? They're flat out fucking lying. Yes, you can certainly, let me see here. I got some people that are requested. I'll bring up Jolie real quick. I know you are hilariously uninformed.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to join.
It's okay. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you. Something on your mind?
No, I'm getting ready for work, and I thank you though.
I appreciate you. Talk to you later. All right, bye.
Bye.
Let's see. Just me, you can certainly do your own research and find the truth. So just me, why won't you come up and talk to me? Let me just, I'll try again. I'm just curious because, I mean, the whole point of these conversations is to get the information right. Because if you and I disagree on something, if I say the Republicans could do this on their own and you say that they can't, then how do we break the tie? Okay, so what research should we find the truth in?
You can go anywhere. You can go to Rumble. You can go to YouTube. It's even posted all over TikTok.
Just me. Let's think about that for a second. So Rumble.
Yes. Oh, you don't like Rumble. That's right. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. It's not about not liking it, but that's not considered a primary source, just me.
All right. So tell me about Rumble. You tell me what are your thoughts about Rumble? What is so bad about it?
Well, who posts the content on Rumble?
Anybody can post. Liberals even do it.
Exactly. So how do you verify if the information posted is accurate? Just me.
One, I search into it a little bit more. I Google.
Okay, so then what do you do?
No, you gotta let me talk. You must let me talk. You gotta let me explain.
No, I don't have to. I will.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. So what I'm saying here is that you can find anything on Rumble. You can find the liberals. You can find the megas, whatever you want to call. Whatever name that you guys want to call out is fine. I prefer Republican and Democrat. But all the names spewing against the Republicans is awful, and it's showing everybody their true character on what's going on. So what it does
hold on a second. Hold on. Just me. I don't care. I don't care. So let's talk about name calling. So the president of the United States calling people on the left enemies of the state and threats and radical leftists and monsters. That's okay with you, though? Is that okay? I just want to make sure. I want to find out where the bar is. Like, is that okay?
Okay, so have you looked at the comments on this feed? Have you looked at
Can you answer my question? Can you answer my question?
Okay, so it's not okay for anybody to do it, but do you see your supporters?
It's free speech, just me. So we're talking about the president. So I'd like you to say it's absolutely unacceptable. Hold on. Why are we whatabouting? Why are we whatabouting? Why are we whatabouting? Just me. Why are we? Why are we what? Just me. Why are we whatabouting? Why are we whatabouting? It's a simple question about the president. I would like you to say Donald Trump, as president of the United States, should not be saying these horrible things about people that he's supposed to serve. Can you say that? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'd like to hear you say that, please. You can unmute. I'd like to hear you say that. I'd like you to hear you say Donald Trump, the president of the United States, should not be calling people who disagree with him threats to democracy. And hold on, I'm not done. Enemies from within, radical leftists, monsters. Can you say that?
Well, you want me to say something that is your belief?
No, it's what he said.
No, I wasn't there. I didn't hear it.
You never heard Donald Trump say those things about Democrats?
No, never. I wasn't there. Were you there? Were you?
Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. But you know what, guys? I want everybody to feel safe because we can just get our news from Rumble. The radical leftists, monsters, enemies from within, they're crazed. They're threats to democracy, the enemies from within, schmurderers, the worst of the worst. He says it all the fucking time. This is what happens when we get our news from Rumble. This is what happens when we get our news from YouTube. I guess we need to do a primary mods. Make a note, please, because I'll probably forget. We need to do a primary source, secondary source, tertiary source live sometime. Take people through that exercise. Holy fuck. What the fuck was that? Wow. Whew. That's wild. Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So
thank you.
Trying to lighten the mood a little bit here. I've just recently retired and actually making closing on my home today in New York. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. And relocating to Denmark.
Oh, wow.
I'm very lucky. My wife of 38 years is a dual citizen of Switzerland and Denmark, and we've been traveling the world, 12 different countries, last 11 years in New York. And, I feel very lucky. And I just want to share that the feeling that I'll never have to worry about universal health care is something for Danes. It's just normal. They don't understand why we even stress about it. It's like, it's so foreign to them. And I just, I feel kind of guilty leaving my fellow brethren in America behind, but just that, that society that really invests in their own people and their education. And, so I'll be following you from Denmark, but
thank you.
I just want to say I really enjoy your show and,
thank you, Bill.
Yeah. All right. So send me positive vibes today at our closing. Okay.
You got it, brother. I appreciate you very much. Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement. And we got you. I appreciate you, Fred, for being here.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Steve.
Be safe.
Bye.
I need to go back to that conversation a little bit. I'm sorry, but Rumble, that would be like you getting your news from Wiki. So we definitely need to do a show where we talk about primary sources and secondary sources and tertiary sources and what media bias is and how we get through it. That's fucking wild. What news sources should you trust? So I appreciate the question. So without getting off topic today, you're looking, so journalism in general is biased because we as human beings hold bias. What you're looking for is objectivity. So a tell is if you find a news story and in the byline it says opinion, then that would be a person's opinion. Okay? I would suggest AP News, ABC really scores high on the media bias fact check chart, Reuters, Politico, Al Jazeera, BBC, NPR, PBS. They are really down the middle. In fact, you can run these things through the media bias fact checker and you can make that determination on your own. The BBC, exactly. Like I said, Reuters, New York Times. I mean, New York Times, if you on the news section, absolutely. But there's a lot of editorial content on the New York Times, so be careful about that. I would also recommend. Thank you for that saying that. It's me. I would also recommend Ground News and Straight Arrow News because again, they run it through an objectivity filter. So when I talk about objectivity, ignore headlines. You guys know what the chyron is. So if you're watching a news broadcast, and at the bottom of the page they'll put up what's referred to as a chyron, whatever they're talking about at that particular time. Zateo, I just recently covered them. I like Zateo. So the chyron is intended to get an emotional reaction, which is why two news agencies like ABC and Fox could be reporting on the same story. And the rhetoric that Fox will use will intentionally try to hit at the feelings of their watchers. So when we're talking about the video imagery from Chicago, for example, they'll say, Tren de Aragua, violent gang arrested by ICE patriots. Something, I'm just making that up. That would be what the Chiron would say. And they would use video from anything. Wouldn't necessarily even be from that particular event. That's an example of propagandizing. The same story, you could find a straight down the middle news agency, their Chiron could say, civil unrest in Chicago, evidence of ICE zip tying kids, or whatever that might be. The whole point is Chirons are intended to elicit a reaction. And Fox News, because they are propagandized, will go to the emotional core. Rumble, for example, with our friend Just Me. I mean, can you imagine walking through the world every single day and saying that you've never seen Donald Trump say what he said about the fucking about leftists and Democrats, radical leftists, their threatening the judge in South Carolina? Stephen Miller does the same thing, then her house explodes. Yeah, exactly. The Media Bias Fact Check, I recommend that. It's a nonpartisan entity and it's self-funded. She was lying. I know she was lying. Of course she was lying. Of course she was lying. So that's my little argument. And by the way, we'll do. I think we're going to do that. We're going to do a live on media bias and misinformation and disinformation and propaganda and what primary sources are. Yeah. Okay. So back to the support of the ACA. It's overwhelmingly supported across the country. I mean, the split, again, people like Just Me will fall into the trap, even though they might be on the ACA. So it's become this political football. 94% of Democrats support it, 19% of Republicans. It's wild, right? It's wild. It doesn't have to be that way. All right. So let me do this. I want to get into our topic today. Actually, I have one more person I'll bring up. And then we'll have that conversation. Here's Larry. I'm on the ACA too. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be any more. I don't know if I can afford it. We'll find out. Okay, so our topic today, the patriarchy, and how do we be a traitor to it? Simple examples. Doing that, fellas. It's a simple example. It's not meant to be performative. I like it. Color is a form of resistance. I think we all should have color in our lives. And in our lives, literally. It was interesting yesterday because someone was so angry that I painted my fingernails. You know, I don't give a fuck. I'm 58 years old. It's something that brings me joy. I like it. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. The issue that I have with it is that it's so triggering. Imagine being so insecure in your masculinity that you're bothered by someone you don't even know who paints their fingernails. Like, what? so it should be pink for October, but we did a poll yesterday and the chat decided on purple. So I went out and got some purple last night. My daughter used to paint my fingernails when I was a kid all the time. And I was like, this looks pretty cool, right? So then it became something. And my boys do it, and it's like a cool thing, right? So anyway, so let's first define what the patriarchy is. And then I'm going to give you guys just an amazing exercise, right? Just an amazing, Steve is as old as your dad. No, Benny. No, we have to rephrase that. You have to rephrase that. I can't believe Steve is as young as he is because my dad happens to be the same age. That's a better way to say it. I'm just saying. Okay. The patriarchy is a social and institutional system in which men hold primary power and authority over political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. It is characterized by male dominance in roles of leadership and influence, both formally, for example, in government, corporations, and religion, and informally within families, cultural norms, and interpersonal relationships. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Male authority and control. These are some of the key features. Men are often positioned as heads of households, decision makers, and leaders in social, political, and economic spheres. The system establishes a hierarchy in which masculine traits and roles are valued more than feminine ones, leading to unequal access to power, resources, and opportunities. Patriarchal values are often perpetuated through cultural norms, traditions, laws, and media that reinforce gender roles. For example, associating men with strength and rationality and women with emotion and nurturing. That's crazy. Institutionalization. Patriarchy isn't just about individual attitudes, it's built into institutions, from pay structures and workplace dynamics to laws and religious doctrines that sustain male privilege over time. And then intersectionality. Patriarchy often intersects with other systems of oppression, such as racism, classism, or heteronormality, amplifying inequalities for women and marginalized men across different backgrounds. We live in a patriarchy. It is and the further down the conservative evangelical right we go, the deeper the patriarchal tendencies are. We know how our current administration feels about women. We know how our current administration feels about marginalized communities in general. So that intersectionality of racism, bigotry, transphobia, homophobia, it becomes this fucking mess. So the question today is, how can we all be traitors to the patriarchy? Because we've discussed this before about how the patriarchy is obviously harmful to women, but it's also incredibly harmful to men, which is part of the conversation that we had yesterday about the red pill effect and what we're supposed to do about it. Realizing that as men, we have to do a better job, especially white men. We have to do a better job with our boys for them to understand that just because it was a certain way doesn't mean it needs to stay a certain way. So that's what I'm hoping that we can unpack a little bit today. Let's talk about it from historical perspectives, and then the evolution, and then we're going to get into what a matriarchy would look like. And you guys are going to be like, holy fuck. At least I was. I was like, yep, sign me up. The commune that we have in our Facts family is a matriarchy, which I'm fine with. I get like yard time, layer time if I'm lucky. Like I get like a few minutes, which I'm totally fine with. There was rumors that I might get a boat, but I don't know. So I just do what I'm told. That's going to cause me trouble. I'm just saying. Okay. Prehistoric periods for origins in early societies, the patriarchal origins in early societies. Many anthropologists note that early hunter-gatherer societies were more egalitarian with shared labor and decision-making. In the Agrarian Revolution, 10,000 BC approximately, as agriculture developed, property and inheritance became essential to survival. Men, who often controlled plowing and land ownership, began passing wealth and status to male heirs. This marked a shift towards the patriarchy, tracing descent and residence through the male line, right? It's the same concept of taking someone's last name. I had a friend of mine years ago. I always thought this was hilarious. Like when couples get engaged, right? She's like, when my boyfriend proposed to me, he put the ring on my finger. It's like he pissed on the tree. He lifted his leg. He marked his territory by the ring, right? So if you don't see anything in reverse, you really don't see anything. It's like you're claiming you're putting your flag in the ground. You're claiming your land. I'm taking this. It's now ownership. That's when dowries got involved, the transfer of ownership, giving someone away. All these principles in our system are just so heavily rooted in the patriarchy, right? So I want to move kind of away from that because I have to end a little bit early today, and I want to make sure that we can talk about this in terms of what we can do to be a traitor to it, and then we're going to get into the specifics of the matriarchy itself. Or you're just committing to the one. Yeah, I don't really see it that way. To your point, it's more about, but why does it not work in reverse when somebody gives the ring? Why is there not a dual engagement rings? I know some people who are very progressive have done that, but it's just symbolic of what we're talking about how the system is meant to almost create ownership of women. That's the patriarchy. So let's talk about it in terms of like political power and then how it infiltrates all aspects of our society. So here's the actually, is that the section I want? Hang on one second. I got so much information on this. Let's do, Let's see if I can do this in order. Everybody keep tapping, please. Not that one. Sorry, there's so many angles here. I want to make sure I get most of this in. If I can't today, we'll just continue the live. Let me do this. Sorry, I'm trying to do this in order. Let me do this. Let's focus on the corporate structure. We can give you some examples, and then I'm going to use this to kind of almost pivot to what a matriarchy would look like under these same circumstances. Okay, so certain industries, of course, more than others. Certain industries just have more men in the workforce. Certain industries have more women in the workforce. We're going to talk about the gender pay gap because it's fucking real, right? It's real. So technology, IT, media, for example, strong underrepresentation of women, especially in senior leadership roles. Women hold roughly 30% of vice president roles versus 70% for men. Chief technology officer, which is considered a C-level position, any C that you have in front of your chief marketing officer, chief executive officer, chief operations officer, chief technical officer, et cetera. That number of women in those spaces falls to less than 20%. Part of it is a leaky pipeline. It's especially severe. Women drop out before senior levels due to bias, culture, and attrition. So qualified for these leadership positions, but the further up the chain they go, more bias against them, more discrimination against them. So it's certainly not the capability of the work. It's just the environment that they're in. Manufacturing, industrial. Low female presence in leadership relative to workforce. Women filled 33% of jobs in manufacturing, but only 26% of leadership positions. Physical labor stereotypes, occupational segregation, historical male dominance are barriers. Energy, utilities, infrastructure. Among the lowest female leadership rates. In global leadership hiring data, industries like energy, infrastructure, and manufacturing had some of the lowest shares of female leadership hires in 2021, approximately 25%. Long-established networks, capital intensity, perceptions of strength, and risk may disadvantage women. Healthcare services, more balanced, but still gaps at the top. Leadership hiring in healthcare and care services. This is from World Economic Forum. Leadership hiring in healthcare and care services more often includes women, approximately 46%, but limited access to leadership roles, which is wild. Because women are well represented in this workforce area, the relative drop to leadership is less steep, though still present, meaning that there is more advancement opportunities for women in healthcare and services, but not at the same rate for men. And then education, relatively higher female leadership roles, non-governmental organizations, membership, and education had high shares of women, 54% compared to 49%. These fields have historically been more gender balanced or female dominated, giving more opportunity for leadership paths. Similarly, in financial services and banking, and then corporate CEOs, 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women, and that number continues to change in the wrong direction. There was a boom earlier where a lot more women were becoming leaders, CEOs, CMOs, C-suiters, but that number has stopped. And now there's a couple of things, Kurt. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and also from the World Economic Forum. So then we talk about the gender wage gap. And I know the argument that the right likes to use is, hey, if that were real, then why wouldn't corporations just hire more women? Well, that just proves how much misogyny is out there. So because women are paid less, you would think that hiring managers would want to hire more women because of that. But because of the patriarchy and because of misogyny, that doesn't happen. Yes, it's an actual primary source. In 2023, women working full-time, this is a stat from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In 2023, women working full-time year-round in the U.S. had median earnings of $1,005 per week compared to $1,202 for men doing the exact same job with the exact same qualifications, meaning women earned 83.6% as much as men. Some organizations round this up to say about 83 cents per dollar earned by every dollar for a woman. 83 cents for every dollar earned by a man. When including part-time, part-year, or non-full-time workers, the gap is larger. For example, in 2023, women had typical earnings of about 75 cents for every dollar men earned, reflecting that women are more likely than men to be in part-time, seasonal, or uninterrupted work. By state, the gap varies. In 2023, women overall made 83 cents for every dollar men made among full-time workers. In Utah, the gap was as wide as 60 cents on the dollar in total earnings comparisons. Guess what? The gap is narrower in blue states, but it's still not even. So the system that we live in is a system to benefit people who look like me, for the most part. Leadership positions, the majority of leadership positions in our country, members of corporations, ownership of sports teams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's white men. So the question is, what can we do? How, as a citizen of the United States, how can we be traitors to the patriarchy? So this is where I leaned in on ChatGPT. I just got to go to a different section here. Hang on a second. I just asked the question. Hold on a second. Where is it? Hold on, it's got to reload. I asked the question. I said, as a man in the United States, how can I be a traitor to the patriarchy? Simple question. Awareness and self-reflection. It starts there. Recognize the invisible advantages and assumptions that the patriarchy grants men. Study the system, for example. Read feminist and gender theories, Bell Hooks, The Will to Change, Michael Kimmel's Angry White Man, and then Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think I spelled that. I think I pronounced that correctly. Their book, We Should All Be Feminists. Audit your own spaces. Who speaks the most in meetings? Who does emotional or logistical invisible labor? And then examine this. I want to back up at this for a second. Audit your own spaces. As somebody who was in corporate America for years, right? Who rose to a C-suiter, chief marketing officer. I was fortunate to work for some progressive companies when I was in the coffee industry. Very progressive, right? Very progressive. In fact, the leadership team was balanced between women, men, and non-binary individuals, which was great. It was a great working environment. The last career that I left, that was not the case. There were 2 women in leadership positions, and they weren't even at the C-suite level. One of the reasons that I did not like the culture there, one of the reasons that I ended up leaving for a whole bunch of other reasons. But in general, if you are in that kind of environment, let's consider it the office environment. Are you aware of who's speaking? Are you aware of whether or not you're interrupting? Are you aware of whether or not you're talking over? These are little things that happen that we all have seen, that we've all witnessed, that we've all been a part of. Are you aware of it? If you're not aware of it, maybe be aware of it, or maybe try to be aware of it. And then examine conditioning. Notice where you've been taught to equate masculinity with dominance, stoicism or control, and actively unlearn those scripts. Interpersonal behavior. Use your position to redistribute voice, safety, and credibility. Listen before speaking, fellas. When women or non-binary colleagues describe bias or harassment, believe them. We could end the show right there. Believe women. Believe femme-presenting people. Believe non-binary people. Just fucking believe them. Listen before speaking. Listen to learn, not to react. Listen before speaking. Again, when women or non-binary colleagues describe bias or harassment, believe them. Period. Challenge sexist jokes, locker room talk, mansplaining, or exclusionary practices, even when it's socially costly. For example, like you might lose friends over it. Who fucking cares? Do you want them to be your friend anyway? Do you want them to be your friend if they're participating in the locker room talk? Now, again, I've said this before. I absolutely participated in locker room talk. I played 4 sports all through high school, played Division I baseball in college. I absolutely participated in locker room talk. No doubt about it. And I wish somebody had called me out, but nobody did. So I was like, that's fucking weird. And then as I grew and as I evolved and I tried to unpack and deconstruct from the patriarchy into my own misogyny, realized it, right? Realized it. So now it's one thing to talk about it in this space in front of 1,300 people every single day. It's another one to put it in action. So fellas, if you say that you don't like locker room talk, are you calling it out when you see it? Are you doing something about it? Are you saying that's not fucking okay? What are you doing? Because that locker room talk, and we've heard right after the Access Hollywood tape came out, I don't know if you guys remember this. It is. This sweatshirt is in my shop. It is. T-shirts as well. Which is in the Factsstillmatter at Factsstillmatter.site. Right after the Access Hollywood tape came out, where Donald Trump said, when you're rich, they'll just let you grab them by the pussy. We heard women saying, that's just locker room talk. That's just locker room talk. So unless you are willing to call it out now, boys, it's going to perpetuate. And I said this yesterday. Would you want your daughter the subject of locker room talk? And would you want your boys participating in locker room talk? The answer has to fucking be no. It has to be no. Because that's how you become a traitor to the patriarchy. Everybody else is doing it. We speak to people all the time in here who don't give a shit. And like I said before, can you imagine being so insecure in yourself as a strong alpha male that you're triggered by purple nail polish? That's a point. This is meant to make a point. I like it, and I'll continue to do it, but it's also meant to make a point. Can you imagine being that insecure in your own self, that someone doing this drives someone so crazy that they lose their shit over it? It's wild. It's wild. Okay. Share credit. I'm sorry. So again, challenge sexist jokes, mansplaining, or exclusionary practices, even when it's socially costly. Share credit and opportunities. In group work, amplify contributions that might otherwise be ignored. Don't tokenize. I don't think that's the ask. Share in credit, right? Because you didn't do it alone. That's for sure. Model emotional openness. I like this one. Reject the patriarchal ideal of emotional suppression. Vulnerability helps normalize a healthier masculinity. Think about the two examples we had yesterday, right? Two examples we had yesterday. Drew and Fish Trucker. If you guys are in here, fellas, the chat loves you for what you did yesterday. Both of them coming up here and being vulnerable. Both of them admitting some of their own mistakes and their challenges that they face. Questioning whether or not they're good parents or not. That's emotional. That's doing the work. That's doing the fucking work. That is acknowledging it. That is being like, I want to be better. How can I be better? Some people weren't given good role models. That's unfortunate. What we're trying to do is to flip the fucking script. And for us to say, us as men, because it's not on women to fix us. We got our own fucking shit. We got to fix our own fucking shit. We have to fix it. It's not on them. It's on us. So we need to pattern better behavior. We need to listen before speaking. We need to not interrupt and bias in real time. We need to share credit and opportunities. We need to model emotional openness. And finally, parent or mentor differently. Teach boys that empathy and respect are strengths, not weaknesses. I'm big on, for me, mods know this, I'm big on emotional intimacy. Okay, for me, deep relationships to me have to come from emotional intimacy, which then leads to everything else. It's important to me. I really, really need that. And my friends and the people I care about and relationships that I have had, that's always the desire. And to me, I don't know how you can get emotionally intimate unless you're vulnerable, right? Unless you're willing to just say, this is me at my absolute worst, and be willing to not push it away. They're human emotions, right? We can get fucking angry. We all get angry. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're angry, just be honest about it. Like, I'm angry. I had this rule with my kids, right? It's fun. You guys will appreciate this story. I try not to yell in our house when my kids were little, and their bedrooms were upstairs in a place that I used to live. And I remember one day they're all up there screaming at each other. My boys primarily, my daughter was really little at the time. The boys are yelling at each other. I'm at the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, hey, why the fuck are we yelling? And they both came to the top of the stairs and they said, Dad, you're yelling. And I was like, okay, I get that, right? I get it. I got that moment. It was like a moment of reflection for me. But parent or mentor differently to show your kids that your emotions are real. Be honest with them. If you're having a bad day, tell them you're having a bad day. If you're feeling like crying, fucking cry. If things are rough and you're concerned about something and you're anxious and you're not eating well, if you're not feeling healthy, then be fucking honest. Then just be honest. What are you protecting? This facade of masculinity? I mean, seriously, like, what the fuck are you doing? Just be honest with your emotions. And I think from my experiences in my, as I've gotten older, most women that I've spoken to, and I'm not going to speak for all, have said, yeah, that's kind of what we want from men. Just be honest with your emotions. We can accept it. If you're having a bad day, we just like to know. If you're angry about something, then let's talk about it. If you're upset or you're scared, because you know what, fellas? We get scared too. Things scare me all the fucking time. Don't know about this, don't know about that, don't know about the future of this, don't know about the future of that. I process it. We all have ways of processing it, but just be honest. Men have responsibility to control women. Wow, that's interesting, Joshua. Okay. Everybody have some fun with Joshua. All right. Use your influence. Again, this is how we become traitors to the patriarchy. This was a question that I asked ChatGPT because I was just curious as to what it said. So I asked ChatGPT to forget everything it knows about me, and then I just asked it to say, "Here you go. This is what I would like. This is what if you were me, how you as a U.S. citizen, a man in America, what would being a traitor to the patriarchy look like?" Okay. Use your influence where it matters. This is did I get that one covered? Yes. Okay. This is structural and civic engagement. Use your influence where it matters. Institutions, laws, culture. Advocate for pay transparency, family leave, and flexible work. Again, so fucking radical. These policies reduce gender inequities for everyone. They do. It's DEI. Get away. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Support women's and gender equity organizations. That could mean donating, volunteering, mentoring through groups like Catalyst, Men Engage, local women's shelters, Planned Parenthood locations. Stand on the sidewalk and stand guard and put yourself between harm and the people attempting to get care. Volunteer after school. Go into spaces that are traditionally only staffed by women and show your face. Spend more time if your children's got medical procedures. Go to the hospital. Be with your kid. These are little things. To me, I don't understand why it's such a struggle for men to do it. I mean, I do understand. But these are moments that create bonding opportunities with your kids. Your kids remember things. I'm always surprised when, especially my daughter, she'll be like, "Dad, you remember this?" And a lot of times it's a lot when she was sick, right? She brings up lots of things that I forgot about, thankfully. But she remembers them. Right? Do you remember the time the Red Sox came to visit us, Dad, and they brought me ice cream and I couldn't eat it because I was sick, but we saved one in the freezer? And I'm like, yeah, I do remember that, as a matter of fact. Little things like that. So those are moments. You don't want to miss them. I hope you never have to experience anything that emotional and that awful. But those are moments, right? So use them. Why would you want to pass that up? I'm dealing with empty nest right now. It's driving me crazy. We're filling out college applications. She's going to be out of here in less than a year now. And I'm freaking out about it. I am freaking out. So I want as many moments as possible. Why would you not want more of them? I know why. It's because you don't think it fits into the masculine narrative. Well, fucking get over it. Just get over it. Vote and lobby for candidates who support gender equality, reproductive rights, and anti-violence initiatives. It goes without saying. And then redesign leadership cultures. If you manage others, make advancement criteria transparent, value care-giving flexibility, and track diversity metrics. What rights don't they have? Okay. Party at Facts House. Yes, party at my house. Big party. Let's go. I don't drink, but I'll just make sure everybody else is good. Build communities. This is another one. Redefine masculinity collectively. Okay. Build communities of men who hold one another accountable. That's what I'm trying to do. Join or start men's groups that focus on emotional growth, consent, and anti-violence. For example, Call to Men, the Good Men Project. There's a bunch of them out there. All right. I remember I remember starting one, sort of informal, and it took on a life of its own. It kind of fizzled out a little bit during COVID because the whole point was getting together and doing it in one room, and it was very effective. Sometimes we played basketball, sometimes we played darts, sometimes we just sat around and talked, and it was interesting. It started sort of organically, and it was a very powerful thing. Ever thought about doing that? Gentlemen, ever thought about starting your own men's group? It doesn't have to be under the premise of anything other than getting other men in a room together to talk about shit that's not your normal stuff. Like, why the fuck do we treat women the way that we do, gentlemen? Why are we absent fathers? Why are we not spending more time, nurturing? Why are we unwilling to express our emotions other than anger and lust? Why? It's a simple question. Make those changes. Okay. Normalize allyship as masculine. I love this one. Strength, courage, and integrity can mean standing against injustice, not dominating others. Speak publicly about equality. Visibility matters. It helps other men see that rejecting the patriarchy isn't weakness, it's leadership. I love that. And then, hold on a second, I gotta get rid of this. Patriarchy adapts, so resistance must too. Keep asking, who benefits from this structure? Who is excluded? How can I change that dynamic here and now? Accept that you'll make mistakes. Humility and correction are part of allyship. I'm going to bring Benny up, and I'm going to use Benny to take a brief break. I'll be right back. You have the keys to the car.
Friendly neighbor from up north. How's it going, eh? Hope everybody's having a great day today. Hopefully the weather's a little agreeable. We're kind of in the midst of the kind of mixed up fall weather where it's chilly in the mornings and hot as balls in the afternoon. Gotta love it. Just means we're going to keep the air conditioners in the window for the time being. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Yes, I think I fixed my network issues. We were having a bit of a lag and delay happening there. Just letting everybody know, Prime Minister Mark Carney will be meeting with Pumpkin Spice Palpatine today. Kind of curious how that meeting is going to go. I don't expect it to produce anything big or controversial. I kind of expect things to kind of remain the same, and perhaps that's not the worst thing. Seen a lot of comments. Oh my goodness, guys! As much as I appreciate gifts, please, if you're sending gifts, send them to Steve. Send them to any other panelists that are up here. I can't really redeem them for much. That exchange rate's kind of crap for us. So please, if you're gifting, send it to Steve.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well, every little bit helps, buddy. I was just telling the chat there, Mark Carney's going to be visiting with Donald Trump later today for their second meeting. I'm kind of curious how that's going to go. Probably a whole lot of nothing will change. We'll see. And I'll keep folks posted on that. If I see any clips or anything, I'll share it up in the Discord there. Your topic for today, honestly, the topics you've been having for like the past couple of weeks have been absolutely fire. I've been really digging it.
Thanks, man.
Be a traitor to the patriarchy. I can tell you several ways in which I'm a traitor to the patriarchy because I do not I don't conform to masculine gender norms. In fact, I dismantle those outright.
And we love that about you, Benny. Yeah. We love that about you.
You want to know what we're doing for our Halloween costumes this year?
What?
We're doing Jurassic Park. Kiddos dressing up as a dinosaur. And you might think me, like, oh, who am I going to be? Oh, I'd be like John Hammond or Muldoon or any other. No, I'm going as Laura Dern's character.
Oh, that's great.
Shorts and all, buddy. Yeah.
That's great. That's a good call. That's a good call.
That's how we
roll.
That's
a great way.
That's how
great example. Roll. It's a great example.
Yeah, it's we talk about toxic masculinity. We talk about patriarchy, and I just want to highlight the comment I made earlier. I wasn't throwing shade at you. The fact that you're 58 and you look as great as you do, and you're as old as my dad, and my dad's also looking great, I'd say, hey,
I got you.
If I'm 58 and looking that great, that's goals.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
But yeah, just talking about toxic masculinity and
hold on a second. So right there, so that is an example of being a traitor to the patriarchy. A man complimenting another man on their appearance, even though I struggle taking the compliment. That is another example. What is so wrong? Benny's a handsome man. Benny, you're a handsome devil. It's good to see you every day, buddy. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, fellas. If you see somebody who's good looking, like I always get in Hector's grill. He'll love this. Hector is so fucking handsome. Man is fine, and I'm going to comment on it when I see him, even though it makes him blush. Another reason to be a traitor to the patriarchy. Another example. Are you so insecure with yourself, fellas, that you can't compliment someone who's good looking? Whether they're the same sex or not, get over yourself, okay? Fucking get over yourself. Sorry, Benny.
Sometimes what people will point out is, because I'm kind of weird about compliments, and I usually preface it by asking, like getting consent.
And Santana. I forgot about Santana. Absolutely. Those two together, damn, fire.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
As Obi would say, I'm shifting in my seat right now.
There you go. You see? There you go. That's another example. There's something similar. Women compliment other women all the time. Why can't men do it? Because of the fucking script. Because of the patriarchy. Seriously. Get over, gentlemen, here at the end of the day, just get over yourselves. It's totally fine. No one's going to judge you.
But I can't be vulnerable,
lots of people
Steve.
will.
I can't be vulnerable. I can't show emotional intelligence because that'll make me gay. But wait.
Yeah.
I am queer. So what? Why the fuck does it matter?
Exactly, brother. I appreciate you for saying that. You're a good man.
Like, Benny, you can't do that. That'll make you queer. And I'm like, yes, correct. And?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Anyways, I kind of lost what else I was going to say. So
it's okay, pal. I appreciate you. I appreciate you jumping in. Keep us posted on Mark Carney, and as always, please do your sign off because everybody loves it.
Folks, I appreciate every one of you. Steve, I love you, buddy. And I'm going to sign off with a keep your elbows up and keep your stick on the ice. Take care, folks.
I appreciate you, pal. See you later. It's great. But seriously, guys, seriously, what do you think's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen? Like, is the world going to end? Are you going to lose your cred? Because I can tell you right now, if you are comfortable enough in yourself to compliment another man on their appearance, then that's a pretty good sign that you're confident enough in yourself. And again, I'm not speaking for women, but what I've been told, women like that kind of confidence. It shows self-awareness. It shows that you're secure in yourself. So, like, that's a pretty good sign that you might have got some stuff figured out or that you're not intimidated by the normal. So don't be, okay? So don't be. Just do your shit. Just fucking do it. Somebody said it's hot. You see that? There you go. There's an indicator. Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. Thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to share a brief moment here to the male loneliness epidemic to let everybody know why I myself, a flaming liberal, fell for my partner. And it was actually the moment about 3 months into us seeing each other where we had gone to a movie and he started to cry. And it wasn't the crying that did it for me. It was his conscious awareness to sit there and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, the reason why I'm crying is because this is what it triggered in me. This is what it made me think of. And he was able to sit down and actually explain his feelings that really got me and just, that ramps me up.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I don't necessarily believe there is such a thing as the male loneliness epidemic. I think it's contrived to try to justify male bad behavior, quite frankly. But I like your story.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is. But just for those men out there who think it is an issue, try opening up a little bit about how you're feeling and not just raging out or crying and not saying it. Have that discussion. I guarantee you'll feel better, and so will the person that you're looking to build a relationship with.
I love that. I love that. It's a good man, Chelsea. I'm glad you have one in your life. It sounds like he's a good man. So thank you for sharing that story with us. We appreciate you very much for being here.
I like him too.
I'm glad. You too. See you later. Take care. It's great. It's a great story, right? It's hard for many men to do this because they've just been told they can't. Right? So what we want to try to do, people like myself and Benny and Drew and Fish Trucker and other people that come in here and Obi and others, just try to remind men. And I feel like at 58, I've got the ability potentially to influence, which is why part of the reason I want to get out on the road, and that I might have an update on that at some point here in the near future, because we have to break the fucking cycle. We have to break it. We're the ones that have to say it's normal, because men, first of all, design nail polish. It's normal. It's not an indication of anything other than somebody being extremely confident in themselves. I don't give a fuck. I care. I know who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm not everybody's flavor, but that's how it works. And that's what I would encourage other men to look at the same way. Be confident in who you are, good or bad, right? I mean, we're not perfect, but you got to be striving to do better. Striving to do better. Dr. Dig, I'll check that out when the show's over. Thanks for saying that. We've got to be striving to do better. I don't close the show by saying do something every day as just a write-off. It's literally about doing something. And that doing something could be just something simple, like going through that list again. What was on that list here? Hold on a second. Awareness and self-reflection, interpersonal behavior, structural and civic engagement, redefining masculinity collectively, and then keep evolving. Those things, right? Those things. Those are the things that we want to fix. And it's got to come from us. Hi, Heather.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, because I have my earphones in. I was going to tell a little story yesterday, and I forgot, but it kind of ties in with the patriarchy stuff. My daughter was in the first grade, and I got a call from the school, and they said that my daughter was beating up the boys. And I was like, okay, well, why was she beating up the boys? And they said, well, they were lifting up her dress. And I'm like, why are you calling me? Because I taught my daughter to defend herself. Well, because she beat up the boys. I said, yeah, I taught her to defend herself. Why are you not disciplining the boys for lifting up her dress? You know, it was the old boys will be boys.
Did they answer? Did they answer?
Me. No.
That's assault.
No.
I mean, that's assault, Heather.
It is. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
they were lifting up her dress, and I taught her to defend herself.
Right, but it's sexual assault. I mean, that's what that is. Is the school addressing that?
This was back in the 80s. So, and I don't remember exactly how the school, but they really didn't get back to me and say anything. And the boys never really changed their behavior, so I don't know if they did discipline them. But I mean, I went through this different times with my girls with dress codes and other stupid things where they'd try and blame it on the girls. I'm like, no. You need to discipline the boys and teach them that it's not okay to stare at a girl's legs or her shoulders or whatever, you know. That's the way I raised my son.
I'm sorry that happened. I'm really sorry that happened. Yeah, that's what we're trying to break. That's the cycle we're trying to break. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in today. It's always good to talk to you. Have a good day. Be safe out there, okay?
You too.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That perfect example. You know, I mean, who's going to correct that behavior? And this is the one that I think has really been resonating with me, right? Like, especially, you know, #GirlDads. Would you want your daughter subjected to what Heather just described? I hope the fuck the answer is no. And then would you want your boys doing it? And again, I hope the fuck the answer is no. It's just, I mean, to say it's unacceptable is the ultimate understatement. That's the extreme. That's sexual assault. Locker room talk, unchecked, leads to things like that. Degrading women, diminishing women, looking at them as objects, possessions, property. Fuck no. I'm fucking done with it. I've been done with it for a long time, but I'm just so fucking done with it. I am so done with it. I see it. I see it out in public. I call it out. Happens a lot. I know my boys do. I was talking to my oldest last night, and he's ready to throw hands. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. You know, it's got to start. Exactly, Amy. It starts at home. And just think of the little things that our society has done, like calling little boys heartbreakers, right? Those are little signals and signs that just create this dominance, that men are heartbreakers. Host doesn't know what a woman is. Joshua, do you need attention? I think Joshua needs some attention, friends. So, anyway, I think that exercise as to some examples for men to how they can push back and be traitors to the patriarchy. It's not a script. It's not a directive. It's just, these are examples, because we've all seen it. We all benefit from it. Okay? We all benefit from it. Every single one of us. It's an example of privilege. It's an example of the privilege that we have. Again, a society built by us to benefit us, to protect us. That's the worst part. We've got an administration now that are wrapped up in one of the largest sexual trafficking rings that we've ever known. And they're protecting people, including the people who are doing it. They're protecting them. They're protecting them. It perpetuates the problem. Because again, if we literally could just get men to believe women, and to be honest, conservative women, be nice if you could believe women too. Because conservative women, last time I checked, 1 in 4 women who are victims of sexual assault likely is going to include you too. So you want to be believed, and you should be. So why is it so hard for you to believe other women? Why is it so hard for you to believe E. Jean Carroll's story, or Maria Farmer's story, or Katie Johnson's story, or all the numerous other women's who said the same thing about Donald Trump? You don't believe them, but you want us to believe you. I do believe you. I have no reason not to. I do believe you. But why can't you extend that same courtesy? Why? Why is that? Why is it so difficult? I don't get it. I guess I do. It's the patriarchy. It's the proximity to power, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a wild concept. All right, we're going to flip the script now. Okay? We're going to flip the script. And just as an FYI, we're going to 11 today because I've got some capitalism. We're going to talk about the matriarchy now. And I got to tell you, if the world were a matriarchy, once we get into it, you guys will be like, holy fuck. It depends. So here's the example of a matriarchy. So the matriarchy, in the strict sense, women hold institutional political power over men, is extremely rare and contested as a concept. Matrilineally means descent, inheritance, and lineal passage through the female line, meaning instead of the inheritance going to the bloodline, which is traditionally the male bloodline, we flip the script so that it becomes the female bloodline, okay? Many societies combine elements of all these things without fully reversing patriarchal institutions. So even those societies that would consider themselves more matriarchal still fall into these traps. So there's a few examples, and I'm trying to find the pronunciations, and I may not get all these right. The Masuo people in China, it's near Tibet. They're often called the kingdom of women or a matriarchy. They have matrilineal descent. Lineage and property often passes from woman to woman. They practice a walking marriage, Where romantic partnerships do not necessarily involve cohabitation, children remain in the mother's household. However, critics note that political authority may not be exclusively held by women. Men often serve in public or political roles that women delegate. So yes, men still have power, but that power is given to them. It's delegated to them. The Minangkabau tribe in West Sumatra, Indonesia, possibly the largest extant matrilineal society in the world. Property and land pass through female lineage, and women occupy central roles in the clan and household. However, in terms of state or formal political power, men often still hold many offices. The system is better described as matrilineal and matrifocal rather than an outright female matriarchy. The Baribi in Costa Rica and or Panama. Among the Baribi people, women play central cultural and ritual roles. Only women may prepare certain sacred drinks. Land and inheritance goes along their bloodline. The Umoja in Kenya. The Umoja is a woman-only village founded by women survivors of gender-based violence. Men are excluded entirely. However, Umoja is more of a social experiment or refuge community than a full traditional society. Even the ways in reading this, ChatGPT is in the patriarchy. Think about likely who programmed it, because the way they say it, however, conditions on it, as they attempt to describe it. Conditions. However, Umoja is more of a social experiment. It's just wild how everything is just influenced by the patriarchy. It's just fucking wild to me. The Tuareg in the Sahara in northern Africa. Among the Tuareg communities, women traditionally hold high social status. They often own tents and the property, but again, men often hold many formal political and religious roles. The system is mixed. Interesting. And then a division of the Iroquois tribe, North America historically and in some modern practices. Among this tribe, clan mothers, senior women in clans, have important authority. They nominate and can remove chiefs at any time. Though today, many external pressures in modern state structures have altered more traditional governance. So it's like there are examples of it, but they're small, for one, right? And they're tribal based, meaning that there's an origin to a particular group of people. They established the rules of their own matriarchy, and it was always that way. It hasn't made its way into what most people would consider a more civilized society. And that's what we're trying to push, right? Now, we can talk about how women have leadership roles in certain countries, whether it be female presidents or women prime ministers, whatever that might be. But the system in itself globally is still a patriarchy, and it's not even close. So we're going to get into what the world would look like, what our country would look like. It's going to blow you away. It's crazy. Let me see. Okay, here we go. This is, I love this. So the question was asked, what if the U.S. was a matriarchy? Congress, the political system, structure and representation. Congress and the cabinet would be likely majority female, with leadership posts, speaker, majority leader, and president all held by women. Lawmaking priorities would shift towards social welfare, education, healthcare, childcare, and long-term environmental policy. Patterns seen in legislatures with higher female representation, for example, in Nordic parliaments, a lot of Nordic countries, that's what they did. Those countries that are predominantly run by women, either at the leadership position, meaning the prime minister or president, or overrepresentation in Congress, they focus on social welfare, education, healthcare, childcare, and long-term environmental policy. Wow. Consensus and coalition politics would likely dominate over winner-take-all confrontation. Studies show women legislators sponsor more cross-party bills. Defense and diplomacy. This is on the political side. We'll get political, economic, social, cultural, governance and justice, global and historical. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the timeline if this were to happen, what it would look like over the next 30 to 40 years. Okay, so politically, defense and diplomacy. Research from the International Peace Institute shows states with higher female leadership are less likely to initiate wars and more likely to participate in peacekeeping. Military structure might emphasize deterrence Right? Military structure might emphasize deterrence and humanitarian response over projection of power. We wouldn't have a Department of War. We wouldn't be talking about the warrior ethos. Hang on a second. The warrior ethos. We wouldn't have the Department of War. We wouldn't be gathering military leaders with the swinging dick fest that we saw 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. We wouldn't have the Department of War. For one, economic priorities. Pay and labor. Wage parity laws and paid family leave would likely be early national standards. Greater investments in the care economy, elder care, child care, nursing, which are now significantly undervalued, as we know, but they represent 20% of the global GDP. 20% of the global GDP. Work-life balance and shorter standard work weeks could become normalized as in Iceland's gender equity reforms. Yeah, we'd have the Department of Peace under a matriarchy. That's exactly right. Hearts in the chat for Toodle. Yeah, I'll pin it. You're exactly right, bro. We'd have the Department of Peace. Work-life balance, shorter standard work weeks would become normalized as they've done in Scandinavian countries. Would anybody have an issue with that? I mean, ask yourself this question. I know there's men in here and you just don't get it just by the dumbass questions that you're asking. Just ask yourself what it would look like. Would anybody have an issue with that? With any of it? With any of it? Again, we spend so much money on our Department of War. So you just decide, like we've discussed many times in this space, what kind of society do you want? What do you want? Do you want education to be a priority? Yep. Do you want healthcare to be a priority? Yep. Do you want human rights and civil rights to be a priority? Yep. Do you want the climate protected? Yep. Yep. Instead, we've got the Department of War. Yeah. Economic priorities. Again, pay and labor. Wage parity laws and paid family leave would likely be early national standards. Work-life balance and shorter standard work weeks would become normalized. It's crazy. That's like utopia for all of us. And let's be real. Women outwork men. And it's not even close. There's been studies that have been done by this. Given the same tasks, same conditions, it's no doubt. It's been proven. It's been proven time and time again. Ownership and inheritance. If modeled on matrilineal societies, like the tribes we just discussed earlier, property might pass through the female bloodline. Family businesses and homes would be tilted to daughters and mothers, stabilizing intergenerational wealth gaps. It is a fact. Social and cultural norms. Mothers and grandmothers, as legal heads of household, maternal residence norms, men move into the wife's home. Right? So in this case, women would get the dowry, so to speak. Childcare, healthcare, and education seen as a collective civic responsibility, not a private burden. That's what other societies have done, and they're not even considered matriarchies. They're just investing in their people. We want a better society, and we believe that all boats rise. Like if you invest in social programs, if you invest in education, hi, buddy. You invest in social programs, if you invest in education, if you invest in healthcare, you speak to the needs of your citizens, not the perception of fucking strength. Right? Cultural emphasis on childcare, healthcare, and education, seen as a collective civic responsibility, not a private burden, and certainly not stigmatized. Gender roles. Men would be encouraged into caregiving, teaching, and nursing professions without stigma. That's the big one. Men encouraged into caregiving, teaching, and nursing professions without stigma. Cultural emphasis on cooperation, emotional literacy, and relationship intelligence, traits statistically linked to the matriarchy. It's fucking crazy. Little things like this with the ability to reshape the entire world. Cultural emphasis on cooperation, emotional literacy, and relational intelligence. Those are not on the patriarchy list. Those are considered beta. Cultural emphasis on cooperation, emotional literacy, and relationship intelligence. Fucking sign me up. Media and education. Female perspectives would dominate mass culture, likely reframing hero narratives around community resilience rather than individual conquest. No more Marlboro Man. I love that. School curricula might highlight empathy, collaboration, and ecological stewardship alongside technical skills. People, planet, right? Again, school curricula might highlight empathy, collaboration, ecological stewardship alongside technical skills. Other places do it. Why can't we? Well, we know why. Governance and justice. Law enforcement. Restorative justice and prevention over retribution. Domestic violence and sexual assault would be far more robust. Believe women. It's 1 in 4. I think that's what the recent numbers. 1 in 4 women are victims of sexual assault that we know of. Again, restorative justice and prevention over retribution. How do we prevent the next thing from happening? How do we prevent the next school shooting from happening? How do we prevent the next violent act from happening? Our system is punitive. It does harm men. You're right. The patriarchy absolutely does harm men. Our system is punitive. Our system is based on retribution, not prevention, not providing mental health services, not addressing substance use disorder as opposed to stigmatizing it. All these factors. Judicial systems could include elder women councils, analogous to certain clan mothers, with veto power over unjust or divisive policies. I fucking love that. It's like a panel of elders. That's the best. That's the best. Judicial systems would include elder women councils. Seriously. That's fucking amazing, right? I can see the visual. Be awesome. Health and reproduction. Universal health care, including reproductive care, would be foundational. Population policy guided by maternal health outcomes rather than moral or partisan framing. The first one again. Universal health care, including reproductive care, would be foundational. Yep. Then global and historical context. Such a shift would not necessarily mean female domination, which would scare men away, but a rebalancing of power. There are historical analogies, and we went through some of the tribes, some of the clans, right? So the next question then would be, what would it look like? How would we implement this? So the next step in this scenario was, let's map it out. Okay? So it starts today, and then it goes through 2050. By the end of 2050, we are in a full matriarchy. It's a matriarchal consolidation. All right? So here you go. It's great to think about this because this is what I want. This is what we all should want. Let's be honest. Whether it's dominated by women in leadership or by men in leadership, this is the kind of society that I want. This is the kind of society we should all want because these are the things that matter to us. There's no talk of capital. There's no talk of power. There's no talk about prioritizing billionaires. It's about prioritizing the things that should fucking matter, like our children, education, civil rights, human rights, reproductive rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Making sure that people aren't food insecure, making sure that people aren't living in poverty. That's what a matriarchy would do. So from 2025 to 2030, this is the inflection period, they call it. Wave of female governors and mayors are elected. Corporations adopt gender parity boards. Federal Care Economy Act elevates childcare and elder care to infrastructure status. Love that one. Reproductive health rights refederalized via a constitutional amendment. The social and or political outcome, women finally would surpass, to make this happen, women would surpass 50% representation in Congress. Family policy spending would increase by 200%, and then workforce participation gap narrows to near parity. Sign me up. Anybody opposed? If you support it, put a 1 in the chat. Anybody opposed to that at all? So that starts now. That's the next 5 years. Okay? From 2030 to 2035, institutional realignment. Department of Family and Community Well-Being created. A new government agency, the Department of Family and Community Well-Being, is created. Equal pay and parental leave amendment ratified. Maternal lineage title pilot lets property default to mothers if a will is absent. Love it. On the social side, economic power redistribution through female inheritance. National wage gap falls to under 3%. Holy fuck. Wow. 2035 to 2040. Governance shift. 40 states adopt ranked choice voting. Women's coalition parties flourish. Supreme Court seats are half female justices. Chief Justice is a woman for the first time. And the U.S. joins the Global Care Compact. Political and the social and political outcomes. Female consensus politics stabilize Congress. Filibuster rarely used. Foreign policy reorients towards peace building and climate resilience. Fucking wild. Yes, I'll put this in the Discord. I've got a couple of things that I'll change, but I'll put it in there for you guys. Foreign policy reorients towards peace building and climate resilience. That's 2035 to 2040. So that's in 10 years, 10 to 15 years. 2040 to 2045. Cultural maturation. Education rewrites civics around empathy, cooperation, and restorative justice. Masculinity reframed towards caregiving and stewardship. So, children born in this model, children born between 2040 and 2045. Okay? In this model, masculinity, they will grow up under the definition of masculinity being caregiving and stewardship. It's fucking crazy. I love this shit. Men's parental leave requests tick up by 75%. And employers support it. Domestic violence and incarceration rates drop sharply. GDP shifts towards social value metrics, happiness indexes instead, the CARE index, rather than just the GDP. So you classify or you categorize and or you identify a successful society not based on the GDP, but in the happiness index, where the United States fails miserably. And other factors like societal successes. Are you feeding your citizenry? Do they have rights? In this case, do women have rights to their body? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would anybody complain about that? Anybody? That's 2040 to 2045. 2045 to 2055. Full matriarchal consolidation. Constitutional Convention codifies matrilineal inheritance and equal representation mandates. Presidency alternates female for 3 consecutive terms. Council of Mothers, a citizen deliberative body, gains constitutional consultative authority. The Council of Mothers. Fuck. 3 women presidents, consecutive terms. 3 in a row. 3 in a row. United States recognized as a hybrid matriarchal democracy, power, lineage, and wealth centered on women while maintaining male participation. And you know what? I don't think, this is my own opinion, I don't think that women would look at this as retribution. I really don't. Because they're much more evolved than we are, fellas. they wouldn't hold the grudge. I'm not going to say that women don't hold a grudge, because I think you would all agree. But in this case, I don't think you would look at society as retribution. You would say, we just want to fix this shit. Hop on board. We got it. We're driving the car now. Exactly. You want what's best for humanity. So it's not about payback. It's about, let's move forward with this. This is what it would look like. This is how we can all be better. Even the most hardcore misogynist, your life would be better, because the things that should matter, would matter to all of us. Healthcare, food, water, shelter, better education system, more balanced court system, less partisanship, stable governments, priority funding on the things that should matter, constitutional amendments to protect rights, realigning the courts so that it's balanced like it's supposed to be, and a council of mothers to say, do we have our shit together here? Why the fuck are we focused on that and not this? So this is what it looks like now. Political leadership. 28% of Congress. I'm sorry. Status quo, patriarchal. What is this? Sorry. I don't like how that's broken down. So that's the again, here's the timeline. It's the inflection period of 2025 to 2030. Surge in female political leadership at local, state, and federal levels, passage of the Care Economy Act, redefining child care and elder care as core infrastructure, constitutional amendments securing reproductive rights and health care. That starts now. Next 5 years, 2030 to 2035, institutional realignment, ratification of the Equal Pay and Parental Leave Amendment, introduction of maternal lineage, economic parity achieved across key sectors. 2035 to 2040, a governance shift, ranked choice voting adopted in all 40 states. The reason you do ranked choice voting is it becomes a more traditional element of democracy, and you can blur the lines, the political lines. It becomes about the candidate. And the candidates then become more accountable to the people that vote for them, because it requires a lot of imaginations, right? So that would be one example. Supreme Court achieves gender balance, first female Chief Justice inside of 10 years. National education reforms starts in 2045. Masculinity redefined towards caregiving and mentorship. Constitutional Convention codifies matrilineal inheritance and gender balanced governance. Consecutive female presidencies stabilize a consensus-driven political culture. Creation of a council of mothers. Like, why the fuck would we not want any of that? That's what I want. Yeah, Alaska and Maine have ranked choice voting. Why would we not want that? Why would we not want our society to look like that? It would help all of us. Because what do we have now? This model certainly isn't working. We went through the exercise of the red pilling yesterday, and I didn't even get to half the stuff I wanted to cover yesterday, but it relates to what we're talking about now. We saw it firsthand. Think about the model, right? We went through the exercise about how voting trends, there's a pretty clear line. Gen Z women are becoming more liberal. Gen Z men are becoming more conservative, and they're both progressing that way at a relatively the same rate. Although women are becoming more liberal a little bit faster, and men are becoming more conservative, right? But that's part of it. So if men continue to be red-pilled, and by and large, red pilling is affecting young men, that's the target by design, right? So if women are becoming more liberal, going for the things that we're talking about here, education reform, healthcare reform, guaranteeing basic living wages, making sure no child in our country goes hungry. I know, so fucking radical, right? So fucking radical. If women are becoming more liberal and men are becoming more conservative, there's going to be a tipping point. So the reason men are alone is because they're fucking assholes, because they're threats, right? Like the analogy we discussed before. There's 100 red M&Ms in a bowl. One of them is poison. Would you take a chance? That's the environment that women face every single day. Which one of these guys is poison? Okay? So if that's the case, then that bowl of M&Ms is just getting bigger and bigger because more people are becoming radicalized into the patriarchy, whether it be through their church or whether it be through messaging or whatever it might be, through Christian nationalists, the fucking Dominion bullshit. So what's the response then? It's not gonna be women. It's not their job. It's our fucking job. It's not their job. It's our fucking job. And how do we do it? By standing up to it, by calling it out, by becoming a traitor to the system. Let's go through that list again. Some of the things that we can all do to be traitors. Awareness, recognizing the invisible advantages and assumptions that the patriarchy grants men. Studying the system, reading from feminist and gender theories, from bell hooks, for example, or from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. We should all be feminists. I just started looking into that book, and it's amazing. It's incredibly eye-opening. I would encourage it to everybody. Audit your own spaces. Who speaks up and when and how? Examine conditioning. Interpersonal behavior. Listen before speaking. Listen to learn instead of reacting. How many times in this space, and I know TikTok is not real life. I mean, this is real, what we do every day, and I'm humbled by it, but in generally speaking, I think you know what I mean. How many times do we see conversations where it's a man is hosting the live, and he might have a woman as a co-host or two, and then a man jumps in the box, and when the host talks, the man in the box is usually quiet and listens. And then when one of the women on the panel talks, the guest will just continue to talk over them. Happens all the time. Those are examples. And gentlemen, if you're hosting lives and that happens, then call the fucking shit out. Call it out. Just be like, dude, you let me talk, you're going to let them talk. It happens all the time. These are little things. So think about that person's willing to do that in a private setting, right? Hiding behind they can turn their camera off, but it happens like all the time in corporate America too. I witnessed it and I called it out and it was uncomfortable. I've even called out former bosses of mine saying, you can't do that. I'm sorry, she was just talking. Why are you interrupting her? And people were just like, what the fuck's going on here? That's what I'm talking about. Don't be afraid to call it out. If you want to fix society, you might have to put yourself in harm's way, whether it be physical harm, economic harm. How the fuck are we going to fix it unless we do it? How the fuck are we going to change it unless we do it? How can we ever hope to have a system that would benefit all of us unless we're willing to do something about it? The question is, what are we willing to do and how far are we willing to go, right? Share credit and opportunities. Give credit where credit's due. Model emotional openness. I love this one. Where is it? Reject the patriarchal ideal of emotional suppression. Vulnerability helps normalize a healthier masculinity. Guys, listen. Let me shoot it straight to you, okay? You've been told that the only emotions that you're allowed to show in public are anger and lust. And oftentimes they intertwine because we know what grape is. It's about control. It's about power. Okay? So anger and lust, those are the emotions that you've been told that you can share publicly. Everything else, if you express your emotions other than those things, you're labeled as soft or weak or a beta or you're stigmatized. Really? Is that how you feel when you're upset about something? Do you have emotional triggers? Do you feel like if there's a conversation about your kids? You guys know me. When I start talking about my kids, I lose it. You should. Those things should matter to you. Those things are important. Those things are necessary. It makes you feel fucking human. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be scared too, fellas. It's okay to be scared. We all get scared. If you want things to be different, and I hope many of you do, I know many people that watch us every single day, we're all stuck in the patriarchy. I think about our friend Fish Trucker yesterday. You know, he just had this script in his head that he feels like he wasn't a good dad. I'm thinking, bro, are you fucking kidding me? The fact that you just talked about it, that you were concerned, that you felt like you weren't being a good dad, that's exactly the fucking shit we were talking about. That's exactly what we want. We want people to be like, God damn, I can do better. That's a win. Count that as a fucking win. So we can hypothesize about solutions, but we can imagine what a matriarchy would look like here. Full blown. Women in, just flip the script. The flip doesn't even have to be script entirely. Even if it was just balanced. If women were more influential over our politics, if women were more influential over our climate and our environment, our education system, everything, we wouldn't be where we are. Again, there are models. We can look at Scandinavian countries. Okay, we talk about them a lot. And actually, I want to go through this exercise with you because I think it's relevant now. This is in a Scandinavian country, but this is I think it's Singapore, and I just want to read this to you because this is crazy. Now, a lot of this is just nuts, but this is a society that said we are going to invest in our people. We believe in a system that benefits everyone. So this is Singapore. They've invested in education. Okay? What? This is funny. Dude, you haven't met my daughter. For those people who know my daughter, this comment's hilarious. If she was right here right now, she would dunk on you so badly. Oh my God. Singapore is one of the smartest countries on earth. Every streetlight is packed with sensors for air, for traffic, for crowds, and much more. Most disasters are detected and alerted before they even happen. Even trees are digitally monitored to warn if they might fall. This is how it became one of the most advanced countries in the world. Streetlights are multi-sensor hubs. They track air quality, monitor crowds, provide Wi-Fi, detect rain, and even spot illegal smoking using thermal sensors. Storm drains have water level sensors. When heavy rain hits, automated pumps and flooded gates activate. Streets stay dry. No human input is needed. Trash bins are internet connected. They compress waste and send alerts when full. No overflowing streets, no wasted collection trips, etc. Elevators report problems before they break. Sensors track vibration and monitor strain. Repairs are scheduled before anyone notices anything is wrong. Trees are monitored like assets. Each one has a digital ID and tilt sensors. If a tree risks falling in a storm, the system warns the city. Smart meters track every home's water and electricity. Usage spikes trigger alerts. Leaks and outages are detected instantly. Traffic lights don't follow fixed timers. They use road sensors and cameras to detect flow. Lights adjust in real time to reduce waiting and gridlock. Escalators in malls and metros have motion sensors. They power down when no one's nearby. This cuts energy use without any buttons or reminders. Public restrooms are sensor managed. Ammonia levels, foot traffic, and cleaning schedules are all tracked. Cleaners are dispatched only when needed. Elderly citizens at risk live in sensor-equipped homes. If no movement is detected for hours, medics are automatically alerted. No wearables, no cameras, just peace of mind. No medical alert bracelets, for example. Thank you. Immigration uses facial recognition. No passports, no paperwork, no queues. Just walk through the system. The system does the rest. Traffic enforcement uses AI and cameras. Illegal parking, bus lane misuse, and speeders are caught immediately and automatically. No need for police to chase violations manually. Buses send live location and capacity data. The app shows if your next bus is full, delayed, or on time to the minute. No guessing, no waiting blind. Smart tray return systems in food courts. RFID chips and trays track return rates and cleanliness. Gamified screens show which table returns trays the fastest. Building cooling systems are sensory controlled. They auto-adjust air conditioning by tracking real-time occupancy and humidity. This cuts waste and energy bills. Road tunnels have fire, gas, and visibility sensors. In an emergency, lights, fans, and exits respond instantly. Evacuation doesn't depend on human reaction. While other cities hold smart city conferences, Singapore just uses sensors like for everything and quietly runs like a machine. We could do that, but we won't. We think spending money on SNAP benefits is too much money. We could have all that stuff. An evolution of society. We could have schools in Denmark that prioritize their education systems. We could have schools like we have in Iceland. Instead, what we have here is that Turning Point USA would be mandatory in all public schools and then reassigned. This was Brian Walters as he becomes part of Turning Point. Yeah. Oklahoma State Superintendent of Education Ryan Walters announced he will be leaving to become one of the new CEOs of the Teachers Freedom Alliance. Teachers Freedom Alliance is an ultra-conservative anti-union organization that says it offers an alternative to the radical agendas of teachers unions. Walters has referred to teachers unions as terrorist organizations. That's cool. This comes just days after Walters declared that Turning Point USA chapters would be mandatory in all Oklahoma schools and said that schools who don't comply would be at risk of losing their accreditation. Walters has made national headlines many times recently for his far-right policies, including requiring teaching the Bible in the classroom. He has also banned books, implemented anti-LGBTQ plus policies, and prohibited teaching critical race theory, even though it's not being taught. He was recently accused by other Oklahoma officials of allegedly playing explicit content on an office TV during an executive session. The Oklahoma City Police Department declined to file charges. Really? Oklahoma consistently ranks 50th in the nation for education. Many blame severe underfunding and teacher shortages as the cause for poor performance. Oklahoma's story isn't an exception. It's becoming the norm. If we want better educational outcomes, we need to start demanding that our politicians put students first, not their personal agendas. That shit wouldn't happen in a matriarchy. Nope. Certainly would not. That shit would not happen in a fucking matriarchy. I can promise you that. These things are doable. It just takes a desire to do it. It's going to mean that more women are going to need to run for office. It's going to mean that more men are going to need to support more women who run for office. It means that more women are going to need to get elected to make this happen. Right? Because there's talk now in our system that we're more likely that the first woman president would likely be Republican and not Democrat. Now, if you think about it, that makes sense, to be honest, because you could find a lot of support for that. I hope that's not the case, because we'll never get the things that we want. Like, are you an average Republican or are you a piece of shit MAGA? I don't want it either. But that's what they're talking about. They're starting to identify some names out there. I mean, Erica Kirk's name is now being thrown out there. Like, whatever. We can't get nice things if that's the case. Right? I want what the matriarchy would give us. That's what I want. That's what I want. I've got a lot less miles ahead of me than I do behind me. That's what I want. In 25 years, I want to see that system where the things that we should be prioritizing are the things that we actually prioritize. Healthcare, education, gun reform, court reform, money in politics, overturning Citizens United, constitutional amendment to protect women's bodies. The fact that we even have to fucking talk about that, the fact that we even have to talk about it is ridiculous. Yeah, no more table scraps. No more. No more. Instead, we have stories like this. Elon Musk his net worth just passed $500 billion. Let's put it into context, okay? Elon Musk's net worth is larger than the GDP of over 190 countries, including South Africa, Singapore, even the entire nation of Sweden. We just went through what Singapore has. The list of things that I just talked about how their society is efficient, that's one of the economies that his net worth is larger than. If he spent $1 million every single day, it would take him 1,369 years to spend his money. With $500 billion, he could buy every single house in Los Angeles County. The median price is $900,000. There's 550,000 homes. The United Nations estimates $40 billion per year could end world hunger. Musk's $500 billion could, in theory, fund it for 12 straight years. If his $500 billion were in $100 bills, the stack would stretch over 310 miles high. It's taller than 1,100 Burj Khalifas stacked on top of each other. $500 billion divided by the United States population of 335 million would be $1,492 per person. Everybody. That's the Doge check we want. Everybody. We'd all get $1,500. Thanks, Elon. His net worth is roughly equal to the value of Visa and Coca-Cola combined. It's more than 10 times Warren Buffett's net worth when he was Musk's age. He could buy a private jet, Gulfstream G700, for every single member of Congress, 535 of them overall, and still have $498 billion left over. Even if he bought 500 mega yachts at $1 billion each, he'd still have enough money left to buy Manchester United, Real Madrid, and the New York Yankees combined. Student loan debt in the U.S. is $1.7 trillion. Musk could erase 30% of it by himself tomorrow. NASA's annual budget is $25 billion. With $500 billion, Musk could personally fund NASA for the next 20 years. He specifically has benefited from the patriarchy more than anybody. Can prove it by what we just went through. He had his fingers in our government for months. And he's now worth $500 billion? Waste, fraud, and abuse, though, right? Good to know. And yet here we are fighting over healthcare. Fighting over whether or not kids should get SNAP benefits. Fighting over $10,000 for student loan forgiveness. Fighting over Medicaid, Medicare. And then there's the story of Robert Morris. I don't know if you've been following this, but I'm going to play this for you.
He once preached the word of God, but now the letter of the law has caught up with Pastor Robert Morris. Cameras captured him handcuffed, escorted out of an Oklahoma court after pleading guilty to 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child. Cameras also captured the woman who waited 4 decades for justice. Cindy Clemishire says Morris sexually abused her for years in the 1980s, starting when she was just 12.
People should not be able to do this to children or to adults and get away with it.
Now, more than a year after her story made headlines and led the once powerful megachurch pastor to resign, Clemishire says she has a new beginning. Quote, "I leave this courtroom today not as a victim, but a survivor."
I was very sexually immoral as a teenager.
Morris preached to his Gateway Church in Southlake of his past, quote, sins. They were crimes. His lawyers say while he believes he long since accepted responsibility in the eyes of God and that Gateway Church was a manifestation of that acceptance, he readily accepted responsibility in the eyes of the law by virtue of his guilty plea. Gateway declined to comment. As part of a deal struck with prosecutors, Morris will serve 6 months of a 10-year sentence, pay more than $250,000 in restitution, and register as a sex offender. His lawyers say he, quote, looks forward to fulfilling this penance. The pastor, who once advised a president and preached weekly to a flock 100,000 strong.
Once advised a president, he was Donald Trump's spiritual advisor and massive donor to his campaign, by the way.
Strong is now one of 137 inmates in a county jail. Reporting from Dallas, I'm Cole Sullivan.
Morris's history had a major impact on Gateway Church beyond losing their senior pastor.
6 months.
Just months after Morris resigned, Gateway removed multiple church elders, saying all but 3 of them knew about Morris's history with Clemishire. The main church in Southlake also cut services and staff after a drop in attendance and in donations. And earlier this year, Morris sued Gateway, seeking more than $1 million in deferred compensation and retirement benefit.
6 months he got. The church epitomizes the patriarchy. System built by, to benefit, to protect. It's the epitome of the patriarchy. And people, all but 4 elders, I don't know how many there were, all but 4 elders knew he was doing this. Knew he was doing this. And didn't say a word. Didn't say a word. And I love his statement about, oh yeah, well, I realized my morals. No, dude, they're not sins. They're fucking crimes. You abused a 12-year-old girl for years. And you got 6 months. And you used to be the spiritual advisor. The spiritual advisor to the current president. A twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list predator. That's the guy. You think shit like that would happen in a matriarchy? Fuck no, it wouldn't. The survivor seems content. Closure for her. I'm glad that happened. If that's what makes her be able to go on with her life, then that's great. But no comments, MAGA? Donald Trump's spiritual advisor abusing a girl, a 10-year-old girl for years, sentenced to 12 years, gets 6? Release the fucking list. Release the fucking list. That's what this is about. That's what this whole thing is about. The power that white men hold in our country, not just the power by ascension, and not just rising to the ranks, becoming CEOs, becoming, sports team owners, whatever else it might be. Whatever else it might be. It's the power you have over a system. The power you have over the people that you victimize. We, because I'm part of it. We harm women. We harm children. We commit violent crime. And yet we live in a system that protects us and or uses rhetoric and language to say it wasn't our fault. She lied. Really? Really? Again, what kind of society do you want? It's pretty simple. Do you want one where this continues? I sure don't. Do you want one where we can hold each other accountable as opposed to people constantly getting away with things? Well, you have the president of the United States considering pardoning a sex trafficker? I just got another restriction. If you guys could do me a solid and just tap like crazy. Don't forget, we are crowdfunded here. Let me do a couple of quick thank yous. Let's see here. Sorry. To Julie. Julie says, for keeping it so real. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Erica. Savage, I don't think I got you yesterday. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. It's pretty simple. What kind of society do you want? Like, what kind of society do you want to live in? I want to live in one where we prioritize the things that should matter. I was on with Brett for a while last night, and just some of the things that people said, like some of the craziest statements that people make, and just the hatred that fills their heart, and how much they just are they're so broken. And a lot of the reactions that we get is fear. It's that the fear is of the wrong thing. They've been told they're supposed to be afraid of immigrants, brown people, black people, women, the queer community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they're told to be afraid of. Now, as we know, some farmers are like, wait a second here. You fucked us over, Donald. We supported you. My message to farmers is, I'm sorry, but you fucked up again, because this happened to you the last time. And you voted for him again. The exact same scenario happened the last time. So I'm sorry, not sorry. You didn't learn your lesson the first time, so you voted for it again? So you know what that tells me? It's really not about your farm, it's about your fucking racism. It's about your hatred towards others. While you're employing undocumented immigrants and then cheering as they're dragged across the streets of Chicago and anywhere else. That's what we've become as a country. That's who we are. We can no longer say we're this country of freedom. You know, the beacon on the hill. Nope. Nope. Farmers. You got fucked by the guy that you voted for. $20 billion to bail out Argentina's economy. $20 billion. And for the most part, that benefits one or two billionaires who are hardcore MAGA supporters. They're going to absolutely benefit from this. So $20 billion bails out the Argentinian economy. What does Argentina do? They go in turn sell their soybeans to China. And at the expense of the American farmer. And now Donald Trump goes on the record and say, oh yeah, I'm going to take care of the farmers. With their money? Or do I have the sound on that? With their money? With the money that they paid? Here you go.
Well, ultimately, because we're talking about a just kicking in. They're just starting to kick in. But ultimately, your tariffs are going to be over $1 trillion a year, in my opinion. We're going to do something. We're looking at something where, number one, we're paying down debt because people have allowed the debt to go crazy.
Like you.
But, with growth, with the kind of growth we have now, the debt is very little, relatively speaking. You grow yourself out of that debt. It's not a question of paying it. You grow yourself out. And the numbers are so much bigger than they ever were. The numbers we have now are bigger than they ever were. So when you have $36 trillion in debt a year ago or 2 years ago, and you have a lot less revenue coming in, then you have 37 or 38.
Yeah, because you cut taxes, dumbass.
Yet, but it will be. And the numbers are so much bigger. All of a sudden, 38, you're under-levered, whereas for 36, you were highly levered. We're not highly levered anymore. Now, with that being said, we'll pay back debt, but we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America.
How much? So the tariff money that consumers are now paying, including farmers, you're just going to give us the money back? What? What? Can somebody explain that to me? Please?
What up? What up?
You, sir. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm just still up here waiting for my truck to be done. But I just want to say one of the smartest things I think the president did or has done is make all of his supporters personally responsible for the debt. So the country does good there. He says we're rich, but nobody's rich, or we're paying down the debt together. I think it's crazy that everyone's like, no, I don't want you to spend my money on insurance for undocumented people and things like that. So he really pulled the wool over their eyes.
Absolutely, he absolutely did.
That's it, man.
Like I said, my note to you, dude. You showed up yesterday. Good for you.
I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Everyone, be good.
Okay, you good. Be safe out there, bro. Be
Yes,
safe. Bye. Good luck in Leominster. Again, so people who voted for that are caught up in the patriarchy again. Strong man Trump. He's going to lead us to brighter days. Department of War. Let's go send the troops into American cities. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Like we say here every single day. People on the left, the radical progressives who paint their fingernails, guess what, MAGA? We care more about your kids than you do. Their education, their access to capital, their future, their health, their ability to buy a home, etc., 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 etc. You don't. So how about this? Next election, just don't bother. We got it. Let us drive. In fact, I'm going to give the keys to women and let them fucking drive. And then you guys can just get the fuck out of the way. Don't be scared. They won't hurt you unless you want them to. Just let them drive. Get the fuck out of the way. We can fix it. We'll make it better. We'll invest in education. We'll make your kids smarter. We'll make your kids more empathetic. We'll make your kids more understanding. We'll make your kids kinder. We'll make them smarter, more responsible, more vulnerable, more empathetic. I know you may not want that because according to Charlie Kirk, empathy is a bad word. And then there's this. As Americans are losing their health care. Okay? As Americans are losing their health care in our patriarchy, Charlie Kirk and patriarchy, as we're dealing with crippling fucking debt, we have this.
Curious what you think about this Treasury Department development of a $1 commemorative coin for the U.S.'s 250th birthday. U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach shared draft images of the coin, and it bears the image of the current president, President Trump. This despite the fact that an 1866 law enshrined in U.S. code says a living person cannot be featured in U.S. currency. This is obviously dates back to concerns about wanting to avoid the appearance of a monarchy. Is President Trump planning on changing that law?
Right. The fact is that we've got great plans for the 250th anniversary. And in fact, you should watch the festivities today where President Trump is celebrating the Navy. And in terms of reading through what is and isn't available under that law, there have been times in the past where commemorative coins have been printed.
So you make you try to make an exception. You try to make exceptions to the law. What the fuck are we doing? We are gonna. By the way, when the government shut down and people are losing their jobs, the president's out playing golf. Tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars being spent to do that while people are out of work, while healthcare is being cut, and he's out playing golf. And you guys are okay with that, MAGA? Just want to make sure. So then that brings us to the speech. And I haven't covered this yet, but I think we need to do this now because, like, what the fuck, bro? This was the speech he gave at the Navy's 250th anniversary. Okay. And then we'll wrap.
Remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete?
What?
In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden.
What?
And I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center. So
what?
Got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. You know the old story? They don't give you credit, just take it yourself.
What?
Please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly.
If they don't give you credit, you take it yourself. Nurse Ratched, he's out of the cuckoo's nest. Can you please come get him? So, is that why, sir? Is that why we're doing this? So that you can give yourself credit? By the way, look at the dog who had a bath the other day. He does not look happy. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to shame you like that. What are we fucking doing, friends? What are we doing? I have these conversations with you guys because I know you fucking get it. Like, we talk about it, the smartest chat on TikTok, and I'll fight anybody over that. What are we doing? I want you to be angry. I want you to be so pissed off by this shit to say, let's stop settling for fucking table scraps. Let's stop saying, yeah, that's enough. No, it's not. I really want these conversations we had about the red pill yesterday and about how dads have really got to step up, right? And how dads who are mired in the patriarchy, there are things that you can do. We know that. By going into spaces that are hosted by women, sitting there and shutting the fuck up. And going into spaces that are hosted by members of marginalized communities, in particular Black women, and going in there and just watching, sitting there and shutting the fuck up. Going to schools, volunteering in your communities, going to spaces that are traditionally dominated by women, volunteering for after-school programs, promoting things that should matter. Why are you not doing it? Why are you not doing it? I want to know. So let this be the impetus to start to make a difference. Use examples of some of the things you've heard us talk about yesterday, today, and during other lives to say, how the fuck, exactly, show up and shut up. Just do it. It's really not that hard. The women in your lives, your daughters, your sisters, your moms, your nieces, your friends are under threat every fucking day. Every day. And all they're asking for, leave them the fuck alone. Let them live their lives. Let them have access to their own bodies. Let them make their own decisions. Get the fuck out of their way. Leave them alone. To respect them, to understand the situations that you and I have put them in every fucking day. Every day. Enough. Mods, who are we going to raid? Because I have to break. Let's see. Johnny Travel in Chicago. Emma, live streaming the body's hearing. Getting cult lady. Let's go raid Daniela, the knitting cult lady. Please go raid her. I just love her perspective on things. There's more that we can talk about on the daily about these kinds of topics, and we'll dive in more. That's what the beauty of this space is. We'll talk about anything. But we're gonna go read Danielle, raid Danielle, the knitting cult lady. Tell her we said hello. Mods, you guys are the best on TikTok, no doubt about it. We have the smartest chat here. I love you all.